Welcome to the Horror Hangout, a podcast where film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time and talk about them. My name is Ben Errington, and today I'm joined by two very special guests. Dani Thomas and Conor Molloy are the hosts of Scream Queens podcast, two Irish weirdos masquerading as smoking hot bombshells, coming together to drink wine and discuss the things that go bump in the night in this digital low-key satanic ritual. Nearly said satanic, that's not a word. We're talking cults, serial killers, demons, our cats, and all things spooky. That's the description of the of your podcast, of course, not this one. Welcome to the show. Hello.
Hi.
I can't believe you read that.
So embarrassed. We are so embarrassed. We wrote that in 2020 in a mania.
In a state of mania.
Oh, yeah. We were so drunk our first episode. Like, we didn't even, we recorded it again. But yeah, we were like, this is what we're going to be. And then, yeah, it's just stuff.
So it was so it started in lockdown. Is that right? The Scream Queens podcast?
It did, yeah. I mean, Dani was actually on to me, I think, even long before lockdown to start a podcast or to do something. Dani and I have actually only met in person a handful of times. We met in 2013 and then didn't meet again until 2021 in person.
Yeah, and we had the podcast and everything going then, at the time. Yeah. But it's just we've always been really close online friends. And we always got on so well, and yeah, it just kind of just stuck with each other.
She won't leave me alone. She keeps creating new Instagram accounts and you may be aware, and changing her name and face, and she has a chin now, which is great.
I have a chin now.
But she was on to me for a while to do this, and I was like, yeah, and really was firmly of the belief that only dickheads have podcasts. And I'm already kind of not escaping those allegations as it is before I had a podcast, and the last thing I needed was to cement that. But after about 10 months of not being able to leave my house, she finally broke me, and we said we'd just do it and kind of not really make a plan, not really fully have it developed, know what it was, and just have fun with it, and have fun with it. We did, and it was such a great experience.
I think that sounds like the best podcast seems to start anyway, isn't it? You don't really have a plan, you kind of just go in and whatever happens.
I think we planned a little bit at first, and then it kind of just fell by the wayside, and we just started.
It was a bad plan.
We just literally were like, let's just sit down and record, and whatever fucking comes out of our mouth just comes out of our mouth, and that's when it was so much fun, and we started to actually get a following in one state in America.
Virginia, thanks guys.
Love you, Massachusetts.
Hopefully I listen to this episode. I certainly hope so.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they have been
we're gonna be back. We're gonna be back.
So at the moment you're taking a bit of a hiatus, but you plan to come back soon?
In the next week. I'm just gonna say it because your advice, Ben. Yeah. No, Ben, we're taking your advice. We're gonna come back next week. But yeah, we did take a hiatus. Conor was going through a lot with moving house. He got a new big boy job. And again, like we said, when you start in quarantine, you have endless time to do things. Yeah. So we didn't, and I didn't have time to do notes or research, anything like that. But it's just a case of putting the time aside, and we're gonna come back in the next week or so.
It is a lot of time, and it is a lot of work. Obviously a couple of hours a week for an episode is fine, but everything that goes on behind the scenes, you gotta watch the film.
Well, look, I mean, that is actually something that I did want to say, is that I actually did research for this episode. So I've already put in more effort into your podcast than I ever did into our own, because we were famously, Dani put in weeks of research. She read censuses.
I read the census
of these.
That's the name of an episode
of Salem in 1601, who was on the census, and I just used to show up and then kind of complain about and make fun of what she was telling me. so
I love it.
Dani put in all the effort.
No. That's what works for a lot of people, is that literally when you've got the facts and then you've got almost Conor is the audience, and kind of reacting to what you know what I mean, and that's why it works so well, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And I know I always complain, I'm like, you just have to sit there, you don't do anything, why are you late, why are you not doing but
that's me.
Talent's a talent. Talent shows up whenever.
He is. No, he absolutely is
talent.
100%. Like, I've always said that.
Oh, thank you. We actually did try to do it the other way a couple of times, and those episodes bombed. I can't. And it's funny because I have an agent, like I do a bit of acting and stuff on the side, and I can do that fine, but whenever, you know, I'd be telling a story to Dani, it'd be literally like, and then she went into the house, and the house had purple curtains and a green door. It was an ugly house, apparently. And, you know, and it was just, no. It just didn't work. So, and Dani would be too... Like if I was talking for too long, Dani would usually get too drunk to actually then make sense when she was going to speak. So that was what we kept calling it our cursed format, and we eventually those, we wouldn't do those for a couple of weeks, and Dani would get annoyed and say, I'm sick of researching, I'm sick of it, and then okay, we'll do one of the cursed format, and then we do it, and she'd hate it, and she'd be like, okay, no, we'll go back to the other way. That's
we're not putting this up. I'll do it. I'll just do it.
That's the recipe.
If I pull something out of my ass like on the day and be like, I'll do it, it's fine, don't worry about it. But yeah, we did a couple of the movie ones as well, and it's just because like it just doesn't suit us. I liked them too, it just doesn't suit us because I don't like having Conor talk more than me.
Yeah, you've got to balance that airtime. That's important.
No. It's not even that. It's just like he's so natural, and he just thrives when he's thrown into something without anything in front of him. And that's like my favorite. Like the ones I enjoy the most are when I'm like literally telling him a story that he hasn't heard before. Like there's an episode that we did, like the Highgate vampire.
Oh my God, that's my favorite.
I can't remember.
Oh wow, okay.
And it's just literally he's just losing his mind.
I I started doing a Mae West impression of an old hag that wasn't. Yeah, guys, listen to the episode. I'm not gonna do it here. I'll withhold that. But yeah, no, that's the magic formula that works. Dani has to work really hard to be entertaining, and it comes really naturally to me.
And I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, if you've got a format that works, I think stick to it. You know, don't try and mix it up too much, because you know if you've got a good thing going on, stick to it.
That's it.
Of course, for everybody listening.
Speaking of, why are we here?
Speaking of, what are you doing here then?
Yeah, you're so good on your own. Why are we
here? Okay. We'll talk. Obviously, I'll put the show in the show notes. I'll put the link to the Scream Queens podcast as well, if you want to go and check it out. And the new episode will be dropping apparently in a week. So
I mean, let's not commit.
No, right? We have to commit now. It's the 26th.
No, if you want to know the date, you must answer this riddle 3. Riddle the first.
I'll just go over here.
Okay.
Oh, and Simpsons quotes. It is half a Simpsons podcast as well, by the way.
Is it?
Not by choice. We actually started the equivalent of a swear jar for Dani. Yeah. Whenever she made a Simpsons reference, she had to literally put money into a jar, because it was like macroning was coming after us for copyright infringement, because she was kind of trying to pass it off as her own jokes. They'd be like,
no, I was not.
Oh my God, I've definitely done that more than once. Passed off a Simpsons joke as my own, and it's worked. So
hard not to.
I respect you, Dani, for that. I absolutely respect you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's because we've got lots to talk about on this episode. We've got like 2 whole prom nights to discuss. That's 2 whole nights. So let's quickly jump into some horror news for this week. We have got Five Nights at Freddy's, the first official poster and teaser trailer for Blumhouse's video game horror movie, which is releasing on the 27th of October this year. I think it's going to be theatrical, but also on digital on demand as well. Either of you guys interested in this? Have you played the games at all?
I've played the game. I haven't heard anything about there being a movie, though, which is really interesting.
I haven't played the game. Because I'm not the last game I played was literally like Sonic the Hedgehog or like Gauntlet on the Commodore 64. I'm just not
That's
like
a good one.
gamer at all.
Oh, Commodore 64. Wow.
Yeah, I have an older brother, so it was his.
That was 2 weeks ago.
It's great. It's a classic.
Bang up to date.
But I've never played it, but it's something I've been kind of keeping an eye on since I heard about it, because there was always something about the Five Nights at Freddy plot that always really intrigued me. This kind of I like horror that kind of delves into this kind of childhood nightmare-ish kind of twisting something from your childhood into something really, really dark. And even I only watched that promo when it was, I think it was released last night. I watched it, and really the visuals in it were brilliant. So I'm definitely sold on it, but whether or not I'm brave enough to watch it in a cinema where I will be embarrassed of screaming, or whether I'll watch it alone in my house, will remain to be seen.
Well, looks like you've got the choice. It looks like it's releasing like pretty much the same day.
I know.
Did either of you see Willy's Wonderland?
Yes, I loved
Nick Cage?
Yeah,
so that seems like
really
pretty much very, very similar sort of plot.
That's what I would be thinking. Like, who is starring in this in Freddy's?
So in Five Nights at Freddy, Josh Hutcherson.
Matthew
Lillard. Matthew Lillard's in it. I don't know what role he's playing.
We stand
he's Freddy.
We talk about him all the time.
Elizabeth Lale, Conor Sterling. Oh yeah, Matthew Lillard is horror royalty, particularly for his turn in 13 Ghosts, I think.
I have a tattoo of him. Yes. I have a tattoo of him and Skeet Ulrich.
Okay. Oh, that makes sense.
Billy and Stu.
I couldn't make the connection in my head. Then I was like,
why?
We've actually
got the two of them in a heart, and then it says B and S forever in blood.
Oh wow! I love it. Starting to feel a little woozy here. 13 Ghosts. We've actually got a video on our YouTube channel, which co-host Luke Condor edited, and the video is called "Matthew Lillard Can't Stop Jizzing." And basically, whenever he has like a weird sort of ghost attack, we've just done a little jizz count, like he's jizzing in his pants. He's like,
the exact face.
And there's even a bit where he dribbles.
He's so fucking drooly. That poor man just can't control his salivary glands.
I'd be like, get into a different job. Get a different job. Like this seems painful every time.
13 Ghosts though. 13 Ghosts. What a fucking film. I actually only rewatched it recently. It is actually such a favorite of mine because it's such camp horror. Do you know? It kind of knows what it is and really leans into it. Do you know?
100%.
Love that.
And it's got like the design, like the creature design, like all the ghosts.
And the house design. The machine.
I mean,
of the house.
You couldn't do any fit in private in that house.
No, it's absolutely outrageous. Like what an impractical house.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go upstairs to have a quick. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Everyone can see me.
I'm good.
And it's always moving that house as well. That's like a Rubik's Cube house.
So impractical. Yeah.
I'd end up getting split in half. Does someone get split in half?
Lucky you.
Well, lucky me, we take it where we can get
One can only dream.
I'd be split in half, but everyone would see because of the window. So that's
lucky
fine.
them.
Exhibitionist. Okay. So Five Nights at Freddy's. I'll just quickly do the synopsis. A troubled security guard begins working at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza while spending his first night on the job. He realizes the night shift at Freddy's won't be so easy to make it through. What did I say? Did I say something wrong?
I don't know.
No. I love the idea that someone made a film about a troubled security guard. Like I want to know what happened. Like
have you never seen Paul Blart Mall Cop?
No, but that's what I mean. I want to know what happened to the prelude to the film. Like before the film starts, like how did he get that job? Why did he get that job? Is a security guard really a position for someone who's really, really troubled? Like when you think about it. No, so that's all. I don't know why I find that so funny. Yeah.
Not really.
You're hired. You must come to this haunted factory. Oh, you will be.
If you fill out this part of the questionnaire on your inner demons, that will be also.
Isn't there absolutely loads of like Five Nights at Freddy's lore as well? Like, isn't like the story surrounding it like really extensive?
That's Reddit fucking people.
Is it just Reddit? Is it just people on Reddit?
But no, isn't there more than one game? Like, isn't there like 6 or 7 games? So like I suppose when you consider the plot of 7 games, how long can a game be?
That's
yeah,
true.
I mean, that is true.
Still, looking forward to it. I'll definitely be checking it out. We'll probably, I'm sure we'll do an episode as well.
When is that?
I will.
27th of October. So
okay.
That's soon.
Just
I will say though, I always know what you're playing because I play my housemate's PlayStation. And if you see that boy played this game, it's me. He doesn't play anything, it's always just me. And I always scroll. I know. I always scroll through the For You thing, and I'm like, "What's Ben playing?"
So you can just see how many hours I plow into my Commodore 64.
Gauntlet.
You're just gonna see how many times I play Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima, because that's all I play.
Well, I've literally started Ghost of Tsushima this week for the first time ever.
I saw it.
Stop stalking his game device. I don't know how that works. Like, she said it like it was really normal. Like, oh, I can see what you're playing at all times. And I was like,
but you can.
That meant to happen.
I love doing that
as
well, though.
This person played this game for the first time. And it's like, this person installed Now TV for the first time.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it?
It's everything you do.
I don't see everything that I'm watching on my PlayStation.
Turn off that function.
Turn that function off.
For your own
person installed Pornhub for the first
time. No, but honestly.
The first time?
Yeah.
You want it on the big screen when you have a free house. You need it on the fucking TV.
Also, you can kind of when you look at it, you can kind of look down your nose at people going, PlayStation 4, is it? Oh god.
Spyro the Dragon, are you 10?
Playing FIFA. Playing FIFA 19 at 3 a.m.
Who the fuck plays
Lonely.
FIFA anymore?
Yeah, single watch. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Next piece of news. There is the first look at a movie called The Chapel, which is the next horror movie from Piggy director Carlota Pereda, who we interviewed on this show, all about the movie Piggy, which was super exciting. So yeah, this is the first look. We've got just like an image, and also like a plot about it. The film centers on Emma, 8 years old, who seeks out Carol, a fake medium. That could be a spoiler, to communicate with the spirit of a little girl who has spent centuries trapped in a chapel. Centuries trapped in a chapel. Centuries.
Well, she's a ghost, I assume.
I'm just thinking Emma,
but that's a long
and I'm
time,
thinking
isn't it?
butter. And
well, she's not only been there for 6 months. Like, she was a troubled security card.
How many podcasts would she have started in centuries?
Oh my god, I would love that. If we could have like a ghost start a podcast, I would love that. That would be so fucking good. Like, literally, I can't hear the name Emma in a spooky context without thinking of butter, Conor, because I just can't.
Spooky Emma.
I was like, no.
Thinking of what?
No, don't get me started on the butter thing. I'm low key. There's two things that I'm obsessed with in this world, and the first is nuns. Okay, I am just obsessed with nuns. If you mention a nun, it makes your story 20 times more entertaining if there's a nun involved. And the other thing is colonial butter churning. For some reason, it's the funniest concept in the world. And one day Dani was telling me a story on the podcast, not like over coffee, about a little girl who got possessed by a demon. And I thought the story was taking place in colonial times, which it wasn't, and kept turning it into being about butter churning. Because
there was no butter in the story. There was nothing about
there was
butter
plenty.
churning.
The episode is called I Can't Believe It's Not Butter.
No, I can't believe it's not emotional support butter.
Oh.
Yeah,
how does emotional support butter work? Do you just rub it on your person?
I can't even remember what the fuck is going on. That was one of the episodes.
I like how you're like, I assumed this story took place in colonial times and it didn't.
No, but
someone starts telling a story and you go, is this story take place in colonial times?
And what did the town crier think?
There's a part in the episode, right, where I actually have to yell at him because I'm trying to talk and we're both laughing. I'm like, fucking just mute yourself if you're gonna laugh. Just mute yourself. And then I'm trying to talk, but I can see him laughing while he's muted. And we're both just like, ah. It takes us like 20 minutes for that one part alone to get past the fact that it might be butter.
But then there were nuns involved, as it transpires. So that
nuns
episode,
as well.
Episode, 3 burly nuns ended up being involved in that story.
That was in the description.
That was a highlight.
Burly nuns.
That was a highlight. Well, I assumed they were burly because they had to hold down the possessed girl. So they must have been pretty strong.
They had some pretty thick
of the convent's burliest nuns. Yeah. But that's one thing that it was always that's Conor's one job, is that he sits and he does the synopsis. And it's always so funny. It's always hilarious, but with that
funnier than the episode, arguably.
genuinely. Anyway, we'll stop talking about butter because that seems to be all screen.
Don't get me started. Yeah.
Buttery
nuns.
Nuns
from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Terry loves yogurt. Connor loves butter.
Ew. Delightful.
Anyway, go on. What are we talking about? Emma.
That one about the ghost of the chapel. That sounds good. Well, I'm sure
it doesn't sound as good as our Scream Queens episode.
It didn't sound anywhere near as good as that episode. Okay, and then finally, the Platform 2. Netflix is teasing an upcoming sequel and a look at new characters. I don't know if either of you have seen that. It's kind of like a social
dystopian kind of
dystopian.
Yeah.
Like a platform full of a load of lovely grub,
butter,
slop, load of butter, and nuns.
No, but the nuns are running the show. You know they are. They're always running the show.
The nuns are behind it all.
Yeah.
Right.
I kind of like films like that, but they're also kind of disgusting. I don't really like watching people eat, and there's a lot of that.
Yeah, not my thing.
People just shoveling food into their gobs.
That movie. Is it The Menu? I didn't like that.
I did like that, but also the eating and that was actually at a minimum. There was actually I don't know what you think that was about.
Food and it was crap.
Yeah, the courses were here's your tax record printed on an banana bread and stuff like that.
I loved it. It was great.
It was good. I did like that.
I don't like her face. I think it was
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Her face. Yeah, I don't.
She's got one of those faces though, which I feel like is just fascinating. I can't not like it.
I've
made for camera.
Problem.
For camera.
Because didn't she get told at auditions years ago that she looked too odd?
I wouldn't say odd.
You look a little bit.
People did say that though. I think people used to say to her are you all right?
Unique. She is very unique looking. I'll give her that. But it's just the fact that I can't take her seriously because she just looks so cute and impish and whimsical, and I'm like,
she's very impish.
I can't. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not Nicholas Hoult. I just can't stand him anyway. And I'm like,
no, Nicholas Hoult. I'm with you on that. Someone like Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah.
I've never been on board with him. Ralph Fiennes.
Oh. Yeah, I love him so much. But the two main characters that you were supposed to get behind. Well, not so much Nicholas Hoult, but I'm just kind of if it's all Ralph Fiennes just playing Gordon Ramsay, I would be into it. But
he's kind of playing Voldemort, though, isn't he? He's kind of
a little bit,
very Voldemort-y, that performance, I thought.
Yeah. So a sequel to The Platform. It's probably going to be more of the same, isn't it? Really, just making us look at ourselves and thinking, do we consume too much, and all that stuff. I think it's the same director as well. So yeah, there we go. I'm pretty sure that's it for horror news. Has there been any other horror news that I may have missed? Anybody seen anything announced this week? I don't think so.
No. Not that I'm aware of. Although I did recently discover the film Skinamarink, which I had it completely kind of flown under my radar.
Did you watch it? I didn't watch it all the way.
I'm too afraid.
Oh, so
I put it on.
So you've recently discovered it and you've not seen it?
No, I stumbled across in the worst possible way. I discovered it. I stumbled across a YouTube video about it and was like, "Oh, what's this?" And then I was like, "Nope." No, it's a little bit too close to the bone for me. I used to have these kind of the visuals of it reminded me of these nightmares I used to have as a kid. So I was like, "No."
It's definitely going to work for you then, I think.
Well, I'm building up the courage. I'm building up the courage, I think, to watch it.
Yeah. So I've seen it. We did an episode on it a little while ago. I'm not sure when it was, whenever it was released on Shudder. I think if you've got a history with the subject matter, then I think it will work for you. For me, not so much. It was very, very minimalist, very lo-fi, and
same. Yeah, it was very slow for me.
You've seen it as well, Dani? You've seen it as well?
Yeah.
Sorry,
I've seen the first. I turned it off after a few minutes. I was kind of like,
it is definitely one of those, isn't it, where you're like,
yeah.
I don't know. I think you kind of. I think it would have been better seeing it like in a cinema where you had to sit and watch and you couldn't do other things. If you watch it at home, I was a bit like I just wanted to do other things, you know. And I hate it when a film makes me feel like that. But I think it's got very, very mixed reviews from people saying this is pointless and boring and shit, and other people saying it's the most effective horror experience I've ever had.
Real divisive. That seems to be because I put up on my Instagram being like, oh, I just discovered this, kind of afraid to watch it, and like that my DMs kind of blew up being like, and it was really like, some were saying don't bother, it is the worst, some were saying it was brilliant. It was really, really divided like that. So I will watch it eventually. It's one of those things I really have to build myself up. I've been listening to like analysis videos of it on YouTube and things like that, so I kind of know everything that's going to happen, but I'm kind of building up the courage to sit down and experience it. And I'm not really a scaredy cat when it comes to horror, but because I love it, but there was just something about the visuals that I have seen of it, and the toy phone, anything got to do with like childhood stuff, it kind of gives me the willies in the bad way, you know. So
I recommend you to watch it. I think because for me, I kind of went in kind of just a bit, I don't know, not cynical, but kind of like it just didn't quite grab me.
Did you see though why people would be afraid of it?
Oh, totally. That's kind of the fascinating thing about it, is the fact that even though I didn't particularly enjoy it or like it or think it was effective for me, I could definitely imagine why it would be effective for people.
Yeah. I tend to kind of base my view on horror movies like that. Like there's movies that would absolutely not be scary for me, but for somebody else they'd shit themselves. Like for me, for me, the most terrifying movie is Dead Silence. Because I have like severe, it's like pupophobia, but like pupophobia. That's what it's called. But it's like Google it.
Pupophobia.
Scared of pups.
P-A-P-H, like
scared of holes.
So it's no, that's like what's that called again? That's like a weird one.
Tryptophobia.
Oh, that's it.
No, but I thought that was called like animatronophobia or something. Isn't there like some kind of real
that is a separate thing as
that
well?
Exists.
Oh, it's separate.
There's like animatronic phobia, but you could be
so
scared
niche,
of animatronics underwater. That's like a very specific.
There's so many weird things, but like with mine, it's like it's dolls, dummies, puppets, like any of that shit. I just can't handle it. So like. Specifically, I would say probably like ventriloquist dummies, which is why that movie is fucking terrifying, but I love it because it's one of the only movies that can make me just have a panic attack while I'm watching it. And that's what you want. And it's got big fucking sexy Donnie Wahlberg.
That's not Donnie Wahlberg.
It is Donnie Wahlberg.
No, it isn't.
Is it a Wahlberg?
It's your man from True Blood. It's your man from True Blood.
No, it isn't. It's Donnie Wahlberg. Google it right now. Google it right now.
Nobody has ever called Donnie Wahlberg sexy. Nobody.
I think he's sexy. It's Donnie Wahlberg. Conor, Google it. I promise you, it's Donnie Wahlberg.
It is Ryan Quanten.
And Donnie Wahlberg is the detective.
Famous for playing Vinny on Home. Oh.
Yeah, Donnie's in it.
Big sexy Donnie Wahlberg. The right stuff.
Detective Lipton. Ice-T himself.
Okay.
I told you.
Oh my God, he was in New Kids on the Block.
Yeah.
I'm
a big
girl, you're a big girl now. It also has Amber Valetti in it, and she actually looks like a ventriloquist dummy. So there you go. Just in real life.
There we go. That's where she was cast.
Yeah, that's one movie that just makes me fucking like lose my mind. I hate it and I love it.
I think that's what's so good about horror, is that like there's such a huge amount. As a cross section of fear is amazing, because so many people can draw like from subgenres and stuff that really do affect them, and other people just be like, "What are you on about? It's not scary." That's not how it works. You know, you can watch a comedy film.
Arachnophobia wouldn't bother me, but someone who's afraid of spiders.
No, because I am afraid of spiders, and that's a delightful family romp.
It actually is.
Terrific.
Starring the wonderful Jeff Daniels. Isn't it?
Have you ever seen the trailer for that?
No.
It's so whimsical and family friendly, that trailer. It's literally like you go to go, spiders, great.
They might fall on your face while you're sleeping.
Oh no, I love arachnophobia. I'm actually going to do a rewatch of that again at some point.
Really like it.
That was one of, when I was a kid, that was one of the few like videos that we had on VHS. Like for some, like back then, like VHS seems to cost like £25 per one.
Yeah,
it had like a small selection. It was like arachnophobia, the Sandlot Kids, Chicken Run. Later on in life, it was Chicken Run, and we just watched them to death. Boom,
yeah, you just watch them over and over again. You memorize every word.
Yeah. Now you kids with your streaming and your teaming and your hip hopping, you know, instant gratification.
Your Instagram.
That's the thing. It's the same with porn. You just had the family computer in the dining room and like an ear for footsteps. You're like, fuck, that's all you had back then. But now you have it too easy.
I miss the risk. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, that's what the hottest thing was. And you're like, well, there's no risk of anyone catching me, so it's fine. Whatever.
Do you remember there was that whole thing that, like, I remember when I was a teenager, I think someone, like, it was a thing that I don't know anyone who actually used to do it, but they said it was like a game that, like, you would have a wank, and then, like, when you came, you'd shout for your mother, and so your mother would start coming to you, and it was about trying to, like, clean up as quickly as possible after. I don't know anyone who ever actually did it, but it was like one of those, like, urban legends that, like, boys yeah, totally, like, yeah,
you just end up
totally.
Can you imagine busting her nut and being like, Ma?
Yeah. My mother is so lazy, she never would have come. She would have been like, what?
Yeah, there'd be absolutely no fear in that
come
moment.
Here.
Anyway.
Right, risky wank stories aside, that is a real life horror though. Risky wank stories,
yeah,
you know. Now we've got it.
The name of my autobiography.
Now we've got
wank.
4K streaming. We've got access to OnlyFans. We've got it all. You know, we've got it all. Back in the day, it was just a porn magazine folded up in a woodland.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm pretty old.
I'm
pretty old.
Can I tell you my porn mag horror story?
Yes,
it is a horror story. So
yes.
The night that my dad passed away, bless him, right?
Oh, what a sexy story.
It's such a sexy story. But I was staying in his room at the time. So literally I was like in there the whole week. Got to about day 3 and the fucking mattress protector thing popped up, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna fucking remake this. Lifted the thing and found like my dad's old porn from like the 80s. And I was like, this is the best thing ever. Like, took it out and it was like literally this like busty German MILF lesbian. So like everything weird. And I like immediately FaceTimed my brother and he was like, I remember those. I used to jerk off to those all the time. And I was like, oh no.
Family heirloom.
Family heirloom, exactly.
And
so I was literally just like, I'm gonna put them back where I got them. That's fine. So I made the bed nice, got back into bed. 2 hours later, my mom was like, we have to go, your dad's dying. And I was like, how am I gonna look his dead body in the face after this?
Can I bring the magazines?
Everyone got their chance to go in and hold his hand, and I was like, I know you're a pervert.
We all are.
Wow.
We all are. That's the truth.
And Dani, I'm imagining, because of the time period that the magazines were shot, like, were there a lot of like feathered bangs?
Oh, absolutely.
Like
as big
blue eyeshadow.
Yeah. And they were German as well, so it was like proper like hardcore stuff. Just on the cover alone.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Serious Bush.
Yeah. Serious Bush. Fair play to them.
Kate
Dead
Bush.
right.
Talking about like porn urban legends. Did you ever? Is this an urban legend, or have I just misremembered this? The urban legend was somebody masturbating, lying on their bed with their eyes closed. Who knows what they were listening to? But they had music and headphones as well. And when they opened their eyes, they had like a cup of tea and a slice of toast that their mum had brought.
I would throw it over them if I was their mother. I'd be like,
I can't help but feel, is this an urban legend or a memory that you've repressed?
Best memory.
Yeah.
It is a very British thing, Ben. It would be very
tea and toast.
I won't disturb him.
No. I was I could never do it with headphones in. Absolutely no, I've got to be aware of my surroundings all the time.
Oh yeah.
I always have one.
Yeah.
I always have one out.
Yeah, you've always got to have one, like 100%. Going all in on heaven, that is amateur.
Not if you're not alone.
No, exactly.
No, I get that. I get so paranoid. Even if I'm like my neighbor's cutting the grass outside, I'm like I don't know. Irish Catholic repressed fucking
I'm actually kind of the opposite than that, Dani, because I used to live with a couple of my friends in this, it was gorgeous kind of Victorian townhouse, and I lived next door to this gay couple, and I really fancied one of them and therefore hated the other one out of just, pure jealousy for stealing my life. And they were clearly really rich, and they were like really
stealing my life.
And it was like, it should have been me. Could have been
You're the horror movie.
No, I am a walking horror movie, and I used to try to like low-key kind of seduce your man all the time. And one day I was in my room, and I was tending to the bishop, and I realized that my neighbor, the one that I liked, was out barbecuing in his back garden, and so I purposely opened my window as wide as it could go and absolutely like went to town on myself, like absolutely, like
imagine it was the one you hated, who like heard
he no, well, like he 100% went inside and was like, that guy next door is like having a really loud wank. So they did move away eventually.
They did move away the next day.
My housemates are like, Conor drove away the Gabers, we used to call them. Drove them away. Look, God loves a trier.
Yes, indeed. God sure does. Let's move on.
No, I'm not finished yet.
Every episode of Scream Queen.
Okay. Let's see how many.
I was churning butter at the time.
I was churning butter at the time. This butter looks over-churned to me, if anything.
Put it back in. Put it back in.
Okay. Next up. What next up? What we've been watching. Anything for the last 7 days, or more than the last 7 days, considering you're not on the show every single week. Horror or horror adjacent. Anything you'd like to discuss or recommend?
The Chernobyl Diaries. I loved it.
Chernobyl Diaries.
Everything. Yeah, have you seen it?
I've not seen the Chernobyl Diaries.
It's a documentary.
So it's film documentary style. It's one of those Blair Witch kind of things. Okay. But they go and they stay in Chernobyl, and then like a really bad taste of mutants attack them.
Oh wait.
It is really good.
I'm really sorry. Really I have seen that.
Yeah, I remember then they're in like the old apartment buildings, and they're going through it, like literally just filming things like tourists, and then like things like run behind them, like all that kind of creepy stuff.
Can I just ask, are the mutants, did they supposedly come out as a result of the Chernobyl disaster?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the worst taste, and this is coming. That's coming from me. Oh my god.
Yeah, it is really bad.
It's just
like,
what the fuck? Wasn't it like it was off the back of like The Descent, wasn't it? It was kind of like this. I know it's found footage, but it's kind of got that vibe, hasn't it?
It's the same kind of thing, but it's like I
did
can't
they
even
have to call it the Chernobyl Diaries? Like they could have called it anything else and just had it be about a generic nuclear...
No, it's because they literally go to Chernobyl.
Yeah, but they go down, and the thing is, they got like permission to film like actually like in the hospital, underneath the hospital, where all the gear still is, all like the firefighters gear and stuff still is, which is like really fucking high radiation.
They filmed there.
They literally and in the apartment
disregard
blocks,
for safety.
Oh, like literally, like you can still go and you can do whatever. Our friend, like, he's actually been on one of the episodes that we've done before. Our friend Oisin, he's been and literally just for like that £100 extra, they take you down into the reactor, so you can go. Like everything is like timed to a T, though. You have to like get in and get out and wear this and wear that, and it is like why we're doing our next episode on it. It's crazy, but like they filmed in the zone and they had to get it filmed in a certain amount of time because they weren't allowed to stay longer than 2 weeks. But then there's people that break in and out of the zone all the time, and there's people still living like obviously on the outskirts, but they can't move them. And then there's people who are in the immediate area that are still living there, and then they leave at night so they don't get caught. They change apartments, they do whatever. But this whole thing is just tourists who kind of do like a dark tourist thing. They're like, oh, this stupid tourists
with death wishes. Like, they're definitely white.
Exactly. Oh yeah, they're white and they're American.
Yeah,
and it's
for
like
sure.
It's 100% like off the map, but this guy says he knows the way around and he can take us to blah blah blah. And then they go and they do that, and it is so fucking scary, but it is very good. It's very well done, I will say. I mean, morally, no, but when it comes to being scared,
I've not seen that for years. There was like a boom, wasn't there, around about this time, where all the found footage films were like Diary, like Chernobyl Diaries, Diary of the Dead. What was that? Grave Encounters as well. It was probably like a year.
I loved Grave Encounters. There's actually a documentary on Shudder. I know you've got it. That is literally just about the found footage. I love that. It was just like literally going from like the first ever one down to like what they have now. But yeah, I like found footage when it's done right.
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes it's just a bit like but yeah, I like when you can like barely see what's going on. Like not what's going, but you can barely see the monster. I don't like to see the whole fucking.
You're looking very documentary style right now, Dani. To be honest with you, if something like dark, shadowy was to appear behind you, it would be very fitting. Yeah.
You say this every time we record because you're like, she's in the basement. I'm like.
It does seem that way. My new roommate Joseph Fritzl said I can record my podcast anytime I'd like.
Fritzl gives me 3 hours of internet a day.
He's right to do so.
Stockholm syndrome. Anything else? Just Chernobyl Diaries?
No, I haven't really had time. I have recently watched the 2 Prom Night movies. That's all I've had time for.
That's good. That's quite quite an experience. Okay,
I love a good segue that I'm always bad at. I'm notoriously terrible at them. So Conor,
I do love a good segue. I'm going to throw an absolute spanner in the works by just talking about someone else. I saw The Pope's Exorcist with old Russell Crowe.
Was it good?
Do you know what? It was all right. I kind of went in with really low expectations and kind of thought, because even from the trailer, I was a bit like, I don't know. But I was kind of hearing mixed things, so I thought I'd watch it. Russell Crowe is having a great time. He's excelling in a role. He seems like he's having a lot of fun with it. And, you know, a lot of exorcism movies kind of hit a lot of the same beats, don't they? And it does hit those beats, but I think it's pretty effective.
Yeah.
And while a lot of these films... Well, remember, so what was it called? Was it called The Dark Universe, where Russell Crowe was going to be Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and they teased like every sequel under the sun, like The Mummy and everything. Well,
the Monster Universe,
the Monster Universe, Well, this film doesn't just tease a sequel. The Pope's Exorcist teases like 199 sequels.
No,
they go like, "There's another demon. It's been causing a load of havoc." In fact, we got a map.
We got another one down south. We gotta go there.
We've got 199.
I love it. I am Russell Crowe. Today I'll be fighting demons.
Exactly. And also, what I also love about this film is he drives like a little Vespa, and it definitely makes out that he rides from the Vatican to Spain on it. Just like, can you imagine his ass? Must be absolutely red raw. It's pretty good.
I don't like kind of like A-listers in horror movies. I kind of prefer like
takes you out of
unknown cast. Yeah, because I'm like, I know it's just Russell Crowe as a priest. Like, whereas it's like a bunch of unheard of people. I find it so much easier to get into. Like, even when it's like, all right, I'll say this, I don't even care. One of my all-time favorite horror movies is Sorority Row with Audrina Patridge.
Love it.
It's so good.
So
and Carrie Fisher's in it as well. But it's like,
love it.
Even with her in it, I'm like, and then when she gets killed off, spoiler alert, guys, sorry, it came out like fucking 15 years ago. But when she gets killed off, it's like, oh, now I can settle in, and it's such a fucking good movie. But
yeah, because
Audrina
was so famous, like that. Just hard.
Well, I knew who she was, and I was just like when I watch horror movies, I want to be like, what the fuck have I seen him in? Or
that's difficult though, because sometimes you'll watch a movie and like the person is gained their fame, they become a big household name after they've been in that film, like Jennifer Aniston in Leprechaun, for example. and still like the effect of going back and watching that film, it is weird because you're just like, what?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
It is a bit weird, yeah, when you look back on that.
Yeah,
there's not. It's like Johnny Depp in Nightmare on Elm Street, isn't it? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you like, know now. Yeah. But it doesn't. But it does. It kind of takes you out of it, actually, knowing who he is now, whereas it wouldn't have had that effect in the 80s. I'm so glad that you brought up Sorority Row though, because it's such a brilliant like camp slasher. Like, it knows what it is. Yeah. That's like my favorite genre of horror. I love it. Horror because it's not scary like that. I love Black Christmas 2006.
Oh my god, yes.
Kind of similar vibe.
I was saying this to Ben like just before you came on, that like once I watched the 2008 Prom Night, all of the suggestions were just fucking goals, like the Final Destination movies, Sorority Row, like Triangle, Pandorum, like all of these like crap movies. But
it was an awful time for
they're
movies.
Fucking great.
Yeah,
it was awful, but everything was great. Like everything was so good, and I feel like it was coming off the back of like when Buffy was the most popular. And then everything was horror, and it was a great time to be alive. Moon pie, absolutely.
It really was. It really was.
Yeah.
So the only other thing I saw was Tourist Trap. I don't know if either of you have seen Tourist Trap, 1979 slasher movie.
No.
It's kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre meets House of Wax.
Oh, okay.
I love that.
It's got a bit of like a supernatural thing going on as well, but there's like a killer who could control and turn people into like mannequins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is it like Night of the
very up my
street?
street.
That's the plot of that film as well.
Yeah, they kill them and then they basically wax them. Yeah.
It's very very weird. But yeah, it is more silly than sinister. But like I can see, you know, when you watch a film and you're like, you can see how this is like influenced so many other films without even really knowing. Like you kind of look at it and go, okay, this is just a rip-off of A, B, and C, but you're like, but it came out before, so it can't be.
I have to say, I don't know if either of you have read My Heart is a Chainsaw. Have you read that? It's a horror novel. I can't think of the author's name, but it's really good, but it's told from the first person perspective. It's about this teenage girl who's obsessed with horror movies. And I would have to say, if you're looking for a new horror, particularly slasher movies, and basically it appears as if there's a slasher in her town, so she's kind of found herself as a character within a slasher movie, and she's trying to pull on, you know, her encyclopedic knowledge of slashers to kind of work out who it is. And it's such a good book for finding, like, her knowledge is like encyclopedic, and so there's all these throwaway lines to all these slashers from the past, and that's where I think I've heard that Tourist Trap. I think I've heard of that before, and it's there's so many in there. So anyone who's looking for kind of new horror movie to watch they haven't seen before, a really obscure slasher, I recommend you read My Heart is a Chainsaw. It's a really, really good book as well.
I was just looking at my bookshelf because I'm sure I've got it. Like I think I used to subscribe to like a monthly kind of horror book, like a subscription book.
That sounds pretty sure good.
Yeah. It's by Stephen Graham Jones. That's who it is, and he's a Native American author, and he tends to write horror novels with Native American characters. The Only Good Indians, I think, was another one that he did as well that people kind of really raved about. So
that's great. I love that there, because I love that when you read or watch something, you're like, I'm gonna have to make a list of all the things.
It must be the most horror references made in a single book ever of all time. Like it's insane how often they come up with such throwaway lines.
When was it written? Is it like relatively new, or
it's fairly new, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only in the last couple of years. Like after 2020, like
Oh, all right, okay, cool.
Okay, so I guess we should just talk about the film of the week, or films.
Do we have to?
Films of the week. We kind of do have to. It's the reason we're here. So Prom Night is a 1980 slasher film directed by Paul Lynch, written by William Gray. Jamie Lee Curtis and Leslie Nielsen star.
I know.
What? And he's listed first.
Leslie Nielsen. I was like, response
he's listed first. So I was like, is he the killer? What's going on? So the film's plot follows a group of high school seniors who are targeted at their prom by a masked killer seeking vengeance for the accidental death of a young girl 6 years earlier. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the remake as well, the 2008 remake directed by Nelson McCormick, which is a reboot of the Prom Night series. It's officially the 5th installment, but obviously the story is pretty much completely different. The only thing being similar is the fact that it takes place on Prom Night. So what kind of ratings have we got for Prom Night? So comparing the original to the remake, the original's got 5.3 on IMDb, and the remake has got 3.9 Rotten Tomatoes score. The original 48% critic score, 34% audience score. The remake 9% critic score, 38%. And the meta score is 45% for the original versus 17% for the remake. 2.7 on Letterboxd versus 1.9 on Letterboxd. Couple of choice reviews. Matt Lynch says, just like an actual prom, a lot of build up to something kind of depressing. At least it's over fast. 2 stars. That's for the original, I think.
But the second one is not over fast. It certainly isn't.
The second one is not over fast. The prom ends and it's still going. Adam Bolt says, can the killer fuck off? I'm just here for the dance moves. 2.5 stars. There are some insane,
got a
insanely
point.
Good dance moves.
Got a point.
And a couple of reviews of the remake. Joey says, yes, it's a terrible movie, but it's my terrible movie. 3.5 stars. That's nice, isn't it?
That.
Yeah. Jamie Miller.
He played the murderer.
He played the murderer. Oh yeah.
I wrote it.
Jamie Miller goes absolutely in. Jamie Miller says, this is completely pointless. An obvious cash grab with nothing interesting going on. No good characters, no good kills, no funny lines, no gratuitous nudity, nothing. 1 star. I don't feel like you can call it a cash grab, because I wouldn't say that Prom Night was like a film franchise that would necessarily.
You'd almost wonder why they remade it. And I know, look, that makes me sound like a bloody incel. You know, why would you remake it? It's perfect. But it wasn't. I don't even see why they thought it would make any money, because the first one was obviously kind of hated. You know, like it's iconic, but it's hated. So
well, it's true, because you know when people say, oh, if you're going to do a remake, you should remake the bad films. But I'm like, yeah, but then there's like no actual demand for it. There's no demand for it. Like, I completely understand that makes total sense, like from a creative standpoint, like take something that was bad and do what you would do to make it better. But then who's gonna want to watch it, you know?
What's interesting about that though is that they've completely, as you said, the stories have nothing in common, but what I thought was that they actually did. I saw a commonality in the plot of the remake is they've basically taken the red herring from the original movie and they've made that the actual plot. So that's kind of a tie between. And so it's quite interesting, actually, just to as we're on the topic of why the hell did they make it? It's like they took the film and then they chose the plot point of the original film that wasn't the plot point at all and decided, well, we'll focus on that. So it's because it's a completely opposite film, you know, that kind of way. So, but neither were great. There's some great dancing in both, though. Different type of dancing for sure. Very contemporary, each one respectively. Harry, it was not.
It was that red herring in the original was a weird one, because I was like, okay, well, that's so clearly a red herring that I'm not even going to pay any attention to it. And then as it went on, I was like, oh, I would prefer if that was the reason, and that was the fact. It feels like it's gonna be someone who's related to this character who dies early on. That felt so obvious that was who it was going to be. That it kind of felt like that red herring should just been hidden a bit and been the actual reveal, I guess.
That
felt a lot more interesting. And then of course the killer in the remake, who we mentioned before the show. Dani finds attractive.
Oh no, so do I. That's most of my notes are.
Oh, you both find attractive.
Most of my notes are about how she doesn't deserve him and she should be so lucky.
Again, before or after the haircut?
No, both. Kind of both, but especially before. Actually, my notes also showed how angry I was when they cut his beautiful floppy hair. I was really annoyed about that as well.
Because in the mugshot, it's very floppy. You can tell.
But look, the way I see it, she didn't deserve him for many reasons. First of all, like Brittany Snow, and I love Brittany Snow as a person. I'm sure she's great, but like she looks like that girl in high school who racially bullied all the black girls and then posted in 2020 about Black Lives Matter and, you know, it has a pyramid scheme now. Do you know that kind of way? Like she looks like that person, and she didn't deserve him, quite frankly.
Not a pyramid scheme. She didn't deserve
so
it.
does. She
Well,
so does. She sells essential oils.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. If you both find him attractive, I'll just say he's basically a nonce because she's 50. She was 15 years old. And
yeah, but like I said earlier, she's like smart. Do you know what I mean?
She's wise beyond her years.
We can throw it back to like literally the original movie where they're all like fucking 20 plus playing 17-year-olds. She's clearly like 21 over. Clearly.
Yeah,
like,
but in the scheme of this movie, she's supposed to be...
get a younger actress. And like, how am I supposed to believe that she's like 16 and she's like, oh no.
So try and work out how old she is. So she's 37 now. She's born in 1986. So
she was 22 at the time.
22.
21 when filming. Let's say they were filming a year before release.
There's a lot of like developmental differences in the female body in those years. Like they could have easily just gotten a younger actress, and then I would have been like, ugh. But
they kind of that's the thing. They kind of had to find an actress who would well, she's 15 for like the opening scene, but then she's 18 for the duration of the film. So they kind of had to
Sarah Michelle Gellar constantly looks 18.
How did they make her look 15? They just tied her hair back and put her in a
velour jumpsuit. Yeah, not jumpsuit, jumper. Like it was a hoodie, fucking velour jumpsuit.
Yeah, legit. That's what they did.
So I shouldn't make fun.
But like, a tale of unrequited love as well, because what's that? 15 years old and you don't fancy your teacher? That's it. I'm gonna murder everyone. Does he kill everybody as well? Because initially they said just the mum, but then I was like, no, he killed everyone, right? The dad and the
I'm not sure whether the dad and the brother were real. Like, to be honest with you, like I was, because they were never mentioned again. She only cared about her mom, like the shawl. Like, where was the dad's wristwatch? Where was the brother's car toy? Like, there were no like little tokens or talismans of them. It's as if they never even fucking existed. But no, she had an ugly fucking shawl that didn't even go with her fucking
I haven't shouted at the screen of a movie for a long time, but when she was like, there's a fucking alarm going off, we've got to leave.
I have to get the shawl.
I forgot my shawl up on the third floor. Oh my god, you deserve to die.
Not to mention that bloody alarm system. What kind of highfalutin hotel was this? Like, instead of just being a normal fire alarm, it was like, alert, please evacuate the bed. Alert. No, not that way. You must go. Our sensors have detected the pressure has dropped, and we are now cooling the gym. Like, it was.
There's a nonce on the loose.
It was the most insane thing.
He's not just a nonce.
I love that. Cooling the gym.
Cooling. He's not just a nonce. He's a master of disguise as well. Okay, nobody's used the hat.
Oh yeah, he pulls his hat down real low and gets away with fucking everything.
Gets away with everything. Just as a bellboy as well.
When the friend literally is standing next to him and she said, I know that guy, but I don't know from where. I'm sorry, would you have forgotten that guy who like killed your best friend, who you had seen at school every day for like 3 years before that? And you said, how do I know that man? It couldn't be him. He has fucking hair and no hat.
A haircut could do a lot for your face shape.
Apparently.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, it can. It totally can and does. But I mean, if someone has traumatized you that much, I mean, you won't forget them in a hurry. You know.
So I guess.
But also, the thing is like when she clearly knows him from somewhere, but when she's like hooking up with her boyfriend, and she's like, imagine like having sex with somebody and there's somebody who really shouldn't set off alarm bells because you don't know who they are. Like I know that person, and the guy's just like, I literally have 3 fingers inside you. Why are you fucking coming to
That's nice, honey.
I know him. Where do you know him from? And you're like, baby, like.
And she didn't even explain herself. She just runs away.
No, she's like, just shoves him off. She's like, oh my god, he tried to kill my best friend. It's like, all right.
So the main differences between the original and the remake is obviously the setup.
Everything.
And obviously the remake takes place over the course of one night, prom night. This takes place over the course of like years, essentially. So I think what we'll do is what we usually do with these episodes is we'll kind of just talk mainly about the original, but kind of dip in and out of the remake when we can.
Sorry,
we've
completely derailed that train. Yeah.
Okay, I was on board with the I was on board with the derailing. I was fine with it. But yeah, so in terms of the cast of the original, Leslie Nielsen is billed first for some reason.
He deserves it.
He deserves
it.
Yeah. Jamie Lee Curtis, obviously off the back of Halloween and The Fog was The Fog out before this?
I think The Fog is 70s, isn't it? Isn't The Fog?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely before, I think.
And then everybody else in their 70s jumpers and lovely haircuts and
I had written down that I was like, oh, here we meet Nick, he seems gay, and then it was like we meet Drew, he also seems gay, and then it was like we meet Alex, gay, and also my notes are just accusing all these men of being gay, and I was like, was everyone gay in the 80s? And then I was like, well, AIDS, I don't know, and then I actually had to Google it, and actually the actor who played Nick did die of AIDS in 1994. So my gaydar is fucking ring-a-dingy-dingy. And then the actor who played Drew is still alive, but he never married and is very orange-skinned. So I think I was also right.
And he lives with a close friend.
His interior designer, Harold.
And they were inseparable.
Yeah. They have an elaborate scarf collection and are known for their dinner parties.
They live next door to a young man who's always masturbating incredibly loudly. Shut the window.
Up until 2017, at least, when they were chased away.
So yeah, the original starts with a weird game of. It's kind of hide and seek, but what?
What is that game?
The killer is coming.
It's like hide and seek, but it's hide and seek, but
the killer is coming.
It's dialed up to 11.
The killer
is that what it's called?
But they just keep saying killers are coming. Killers are coming. Killers are coming. And I like that is something like. Did any of us play that game?
No.
Game. Like my friends and I used to play Hocus Pocus. Do you know the kind of way? But anyway, like this is just a game, and then this little girl is taking it so seriously, and I mean like the victim, whatever her face is, like she's acting like they're actually going to kill her, and
she is,
like no,
she's
but yes,
for good reason.
No, technically I know that they do, but that only happens because she was acting like a total freak about it. If she had just been like, okay, you caught me, guys, it would have never happened. Like I just couldn't wrap my head around it. Like it was her fault.
Did you realize what kind of abandoned place they were playing in as well?
Was it a school? Yeah, I thought it was a school.
Well, apparently here it says an abandoned convent.
Well, convents tend to be schools, though, don't they?
Oh,
schools for nuns.
You're not from Ireland, you wouldn't know.
Where you learn, where you can learn to be a nun. Sign me up.
If your gaydar was working, I'm surprised your nundar wasn't working. I realized it was
Nundar.
It's one and the same. There's great overlap, Ben. Great overlap.
You know that reminds me of, you said, I'm sorry to completely derail when you said Nundar. It's, you remember that episode of Angel where it's like Nundar, do the dance of joy. if you watched Angel, you'll know.
I mean, I did watch Angel, but I feel that's a deep cut.
Nundar, do the dance of joy. It's the best. It's really good.
What I kind of liked here as well is that when you look at all the kid actors, when you realize like the actors that they've got to play them when they've grown up, and confusing to the point where I thought kids were other people for ages until they like had the same haircut. For example, pigtails. I was like, oh, that's a pigtails girl. That is, I know that because she's got pigtails as well.
Yeah.
I agree with you to a point. I did know the one that was going to be playing Jamie Lee Curtis as soon as I saw her, though. The Jamie Lee Curtis girl, I literally said that one would be Jamie Lee Curtis. And someone said, oh,
the
go
nice
pick Kim. And
is she the one who walks away? Like leaves.
She's like, I'll never tell. She's got like the braids.
No, she wasn't there for it. She wasn't there for it. Because she was the one that left with Alex, with the little girl's brother. Remember at the start, and they leave. They're not there for it.
Okay,
So she was completely in the dark about the whole thing. But no, I definitely thought, I was like, that one will be Jamie Lee Curtis, and they called her Kim, and then sure enough, Kim was Jamie Lee Curtis. She was well cast.
She's in the dark about it because she's like friends with some of the people who are responsible for it initially. So how did they kill her? I mean, they kind of just all gather around her.
She jumps out a window. She's a fucking idiot.
She does. Did you murder her? No, I got close to her and then she jumped out of a window.
Honestly, if we were playing a game, no, like to be honest, I take umbrage with the killer at all because they didn't kill her. Like that little girl overreacted to a very casual game, and it was her own demise. And
no, she did. She was like, "Oh my god!" Like, yeah. Well, why are you like just fucking hurling yourself backwards into a window?
Yeah. What did she land on? No. Did she land on anything in particular?
It's like a glass door thing,
and it fell on her. Then something else fell on her afterwards.
No, that was at the end when I think you're thinking of when the window fell out of the pane.
Yeah,
I don't think it fell on her though. I think it like was just like dramatic.
You would think if she fell, and then a window in the same location also fell, like it would probably land on her. She looked pretty bloody.
Apparently she got like shot forward. That was the weird thing as well, is that when she fell directly out of the fucking window, she fell like fucking 6 feet back from it. Like it didn't, you know what I mean? And then the window fell and somehow was able to not fall anywhere near her. So I don't know what happened there. The 70s.
She really flung herself out.
Apparently she just planted her feet and just fucking like a frog shot her way back off that building. Like
Frogger. Yeah.
So she did, and the kids just all make a shitty little pact. Really, we're just like, don't ever tell about this. But
I also love how none of them are like distressed enough.
Not a single tear.
They're like, let's not tell anyone. Don't tell mom.
Someone would crack. One of them would crack. Kids are little weaklings.
There was not a single tear. And the girl with the pigtails in particular, at one point, because she was like almost like a close-up, and you could see she was really, really trying to get like a tear, and she was kind of going like, for anyone who's watching this video, will people see this video? Like she was kind of like, and like she was really willing, and it was like I could see it like bubbling, and it was almost getting there, and she couldn't.
If she shed a tear, she'd have had an unbelievable career as an actress.
Well, look, there was pretty dodgy. What I thought was originally going to be really dodgy child acting just turned out to be really dodgy acting, because then when the mother arrives on the scene, her caterwauling was absolutely atrocious. Like if that's how my mother reacted to me dying, I would have been like very disappointed, because she didn't seem that upset, and then she was like, oh my god. I was like,
so it says that there's a shadow of an unseen person witnessing Robin's death crossing over the body. Did we see that?
Yes, we did. And then at the end it's revealed. Can I say who the killer is at this point?
Well, yeah. So we will say we are obviously going to spoil all of this 43-year-old film and the remake as well. I just felt like it was obvious who it was going to be. I didn't think, not for a split second did I think it was going to be anyone else.
Well, I knew when the killer is calling them, he's the only one he didn't call.
Okay.
So like surely, he would have gotten a call, and I can see what they did there as well, because they showed Nick didn't answer. I thought that was quite clever, actually. Nick gets a phone call, but he doesn't answer it.
Oh yeah,
and you could argue that they were trying to make it look like Nick was the one. He's the only one who didn't get a phone call. That it was just someone else calling in his house that was captured on film. Do you know? So I actually did think that was.
The camera was just rolling, and that's what we got. All right, we got that. I felt really stressed when he left the house, not answering the phone. I was like, I could do that.
Well, one of my favorite things in the entire film was when Nick was with his dad leaving the house, and his dad says to him, "For a guy so fast on the dance floor, you are sure are a slowest mover," or something like that. And I was like, what kind of fucking line is this? And then I realized this is exposition later on, because he's going to do a fucking 12-hour dance at the prom.
Oh my god,
and
they're
12-hour dance.
They're trying to kind of fill us in the background, give us a heads up. Oh, he's such a magnificent dancer. But I was like, what kind of father would even say that to his son? And at that time, like, I feel like in 1979, 1980, a dad would have been like, "Hey there, twinkle toes, why don't you be a man and have a brewski?"
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I was
Why
like,
aren't you playing baseball like all the other kids?
yeah, I was like, his father is extremely supportive of this. But again, a typical kind of 80s horror movie. There was a lot of gay subtext in this. There was that. There was the fact that he's such an amazing dancer. There was the tightest tops I've ever seen on a man in my life. And I go to a lot of gay bars.
Incredibly tight.
Then there was the kind of very interesting moment where they're practicing for the prom night, and it's Jamie Lee Curtis and your man Nick, and the brother has to give his sister a kiss, and it's really weird. And then the teacher says, now Nick, and your man goes, "I should kiss him," and Nick goes, "On the lips," and he's like, "Oh yeah, shake his
that was
hand."
weird.
Like that.
Well, like, I mean, jumping forward to that as well is when she's actually like getting dressed for prom. And he comes in, he's like leaning in the door, and he's like, "Oh," and you're just like, "You're her brother."
Yeah. And not to mention, her prom dress was something Dorothy from the Golden Girls would have worn. It
was
fucking outrageous.
100%. Like, and also, I have to get this in here, okay? So Jamie Lee Curtis, right? Fucking love her, adore her. She's a legend, right? That woman has never looked 17 in her entire fucking life, even when she was 17. And the fact that we're just expected to believe that she's 17, she's a prom queen, no. Like, that woman is like, she's been through fucking like 6 jobs at least.
Is it just a time period though? Because like everyone in Greece looked absolutely.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think
no, but they were also all really old though. Like Jamie Lee Curtis was still quite young in this, so like she wasn't 16. She was meant to playing 16 unconvincingly, but she was still only like 23 maybe. Like she wasn't as old. Like the people in Greece were literally like Stockard Channing.
Like 40,
Stockard Channing was 40 in the 1950s. Do you know the kind of way? So I don't know. And,
I think she's just a handsome woman. She's like Glenn Close. She is a handsome woman, and I think that just kind of ages you a little bit more than.
Well, there's I don't know if either of you had ever heard, there was that rumor that Jamie Lee Curtis was a hermaphrodite.
Oh really? I never heard that.
No, I think it's very untrue, and it's definitely rooted in some kind of society being really misogynistic because she's not like delicately featured. But there was definitely, like, I remember being told about that rumor. So I went to school with a lot of boys, and I was definitely told that by like someone that like, "Oh no, she's a man and a woman." Like,
was that the same rumor? There was a Lady Gaga rumor that was pretty much the same, right?
Yeah.
To the fact that I think people used to ask her that in interviews.
And she'd get really pissed off about it, which is just like, no, I don't think she is, but in this film, like, she is meant to be a 16-year-old girl, and she looks like a 42-year-old substitute teacher, which is a problem. But less so in the film than she does in the poster for the film, where she has a completely different haircut.
So in the poster for the film, that's a photo of her from like 5 years later.
This is a 16-year-old girl.
This is a 16-year-old girl with like.
As a 16-year-old, what the fuck?
She looks like the woman at the end of Ghostbusters. Do you remember with the like
Zool?
Zool. Are you the key master? She looks like that. But yeah, I agree. And in terms of talking about like all the gay subtext and that, considering like 2 weeks ago on the show we did a movie called Tenebrae, and we kind of I talked with the director of a movie called Bath Bomb about Colin G. Cooper. We talked all about the history of giallo and how, like, obviously giallo has inspired a lot of slasher movies, and giallo has got loads of gay subtext, like pretty much throughout. It's got loads of like queer characters who are like either oppressed or like openly queer and kind of like almost like caricatures in a way. And you could just see how that genre has like impacted like American slashers as well. And it's weird that all of the subtext kind of like carries over. I just found it really, really quite fascinating after watching like Tanner Bray and talking in great detail about those films. It was kind of fascinating, and obviously these films are incredibly camp, but it's interesting to see like how many things carry over into the 2008 version as well, you know. Even though nobody looks 45 in that, however.
No, but the teacher is in love with her friend, with the main character.
Getting a guest star here. Sorry.
100%.
No, this is Skinamarink. This is
Skinamarink all over.
This is Skinamarink.
What even was that? It was a shape. So yeah, the teacher being in love with the friend. Also, I kind of thought this woman is the perfect age to have like originally been in the like Prom Night, the original film. But then she wasn't.
I got really, really annoyed at the film at one point because I misheard what someone said in relation to that teacher. And I think whatever he said, I thought, because they were laughing about how the teacher was like, "Oh, you're so beautiful, Lisa. Oh, Lisa, blah, blah, blah." And when they're walking away, someone said something. I can't remember what it was, but I thought...
she's so in love with you.
Yeah, but I thought that he said, "Oh, she's like 34." And I was like, "Really get fucked, is she only 34? I was like, "I'm nearly
Jesus
34.
Christ.
Like that. But I had to rewind it. I listened again, and I heard it again, and I rewound it again, and then put on the subtitles. And it was just it was a real throwaway, like, "Oh, she's got it bad," or something. It was like something real kind of, but I was like, "What? Is she like 34?" And like this woman is like,
oh god,
102. I was like, "Get fucked now, you young teen." What a fucking 34. I'll show you what a 34-year-old looks like, you know.
So obviously the way that the remake like frames this like opening scene, rather than somebody getting killed and obviously the killer wanted to take revenge for that, the story is exactly what you said, Conor. The red herring from the original is essentially like the main plot of the remake, which is that there was a teacher who was fawning after his student to such a degree that he went, "You know what, I'm gonna fucking murder her whole family. That'll convince her that she be in love with me."
That's a weird direction for him to go in. Now, don't get me wrong. He, as he said, he is a nonce, and there's no excusing the noncery. All he had to do was wait a few years, right? And you know, she probably would have been totally okay with it if he hadn't murdered her whole family. But like, you know, once you do that to someone, and I know from experience,
I would
be. You've blown your shot, you know.
Yeah, I would be totally into it, and then. Yeah, if I came home and thought it was my
I get bored.
I probably shouldn't text him back again. I might just block him and be done with it.
He's dangerous, this guy. He's done a few murders. So yeah,
a bit
obviously
weird.
Donna gets back from like I wanted like a sleepover or something, and then finds her dad and brother dead.
She was at the movies with her friend.
Okay, that's right. And then she witnesses her mother get stabbed to death by Richard Fenton, her former biology teacher. So there's like history. Fenton!
And they had great chemistry.
They had great chemistry together, but he was biology. So it's like a history behind it as well. It wasn't like he just went, right, that's it, I'm going to kill her family. He'd been like stalking her. He'd had like a restraining order, and that is when he killed them. And then years later, Donna's like getting therapy.
Well, one thing to note just before you proceed there, Ben.
Sure,
it's important to note
of course.
that the entire opening sequence, it is revealed to be a trauma dream where she's remembering what happened, right? And I have serious issues with that because the first 5 minutes of it are dedicated to the most boring conversation with her friend's mother, where they're like,
maybe she's right. Yeah, I know, I get you.
Chrissy, and like, what did Chrissy do? And they keep alluding to, "Oh, that Chrissy," and her mother literally says, "That Chrissy girl, what did she do to make you hate her so?" And it's like, who talks like that? But also, how boring is your life that even when you're about to have a trauma dream, like the murder of your family, you have this conversation.
It all started
5 minutes.
Trauma dumping. It all started with this really bland conversation I had.
Oh my God, it was absolutely ridiculous. And like, I don't know about you guys, but my dreams are like it would start maybe with that conversation, and then a cow would fly over the moon, and I'd be like, all right, see you later, and then the car would just like fly up into the air like poop. Like that's what my dreams are like. So she has very realistic dreams. But no, I just wanted to call that out because I was so fucking annoyed. And
most definitely.
Can I actually just, full disclosure, I actually saw this movie in the cinema when it came out, and it came out, I know I'm that old, and it came out the year of my Debs, which is the Irish version of The Prom. And I actually ended up coming away from the film, and I wrote a parody script for it, starring my friends.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah, so me and this film actually went way back, but I still forgot that the opening is a dream, and I was still really annoyed about it when it happened a second time.
It is annoying when the opening's, I think when there's any dream sequence, a fake out. A double fake out is sacrilege, but a single fake out is pretty bad.
Well, look, at least it turned out to have actually happened, because I'd forgotten all about the film, and when I saw it, and then she woke up and it was a dream, I was like, get fucked. And then it was like, it was so sad when that happened to me 3 months ago, and I was like, oh phew, thank god they're dead. Like I was like, I was meant to be very angry.
Is it 3 months? Is it 3 months? Is it 3 years? Has 3 years gone by?
I think it was 3 years. Yeah,
because even her therapist even her therapist has had enough. She's just like,
get over it.
Sorry, Dr. Exposition. The school resident therapist / exposition device. It's like I was just like, she was just like setting up that, as I'm sure you are aware, like looking straight into the camera, this is a year of great transition for you. You will be going to your prom soon. It's like, not unusual. It's not unusual for this time to be very stressful for you. And it's like, we get it. We can piece this together. We don't need to tell us that she's having a hard time. Like, oh my god,
I do kind of respect this film for pretty much just going in and just being all about the prom night now, because I think where the original suffers is all the build up, because there are no this is the thing, there are no killings, and I think what makes a good slasher is just like the way the killings ramp up, and you get a killing in the first scene, but the fact that there are no killings at all until like
it's well over an hour,
the last 30 minutes, last 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's third act.
Whereas the killings, obviously we get 3 killings in the opening sequence of the remake, but also Richard Fenton is killing precision. He's like a secret agent. He's killing people. He's dispatching the
maid, fucking maid in Manhattan over there, like the most beautiful maid like that ever existed.
Give me the master key.
Yeah,
I'll give you the master key.
But like, how is she not so suspicious of that? Like he handed her the key card that he had scratched up like crazy, and she was like, "Oh, I'm sure this was an accident," and still let him into the room. Like,
and then he went,
"Terrible your problem. Like,
can I have some more towels first of all?"
And then he watched her put them in the bathroom. He watched her put them in. Why? Like she should have given them to him at the door, and he should have put them in himself. Like, why did you go into the bathroom?
First of all, you've not been in the room yet. Why do you need more towels already? What are you anticipating?
What are you planning? Murdering people?
Murder.
What I do like though is it shows him escaping from prison. So so 3 years later, obviously, while Donna's preparing for prom, we find out that Richard Fenton escapes from prison. How he escapes from prison is up into the air vent, which is probably just going to lead him to the next cell or the next room. Like, how's he escaping?
The
like
fire
that?
Exit.
I also enjoyed the mugshot that was being delivered around, and Idris Elba, who plays a detective
which is
Wynn.
Shocking to me. That man is way too good for this.
He is. He really is. I thought that.
So this was like off the back of The Wire, I guess. He was getting some sort of minor Hollywood movie roles, and I think it was pre-Luther as well. As I mentioned before, because of the font that came up on the opening sequence, I thought it was Idris Elba. I was like,
Idris
Elba, like the eyes.
Idris Elba do.
Idris Elba do. But also the mugshot that they were showing about Richard Fenton, he looked like one of the fucking sticky bandits on that thing. He was just his hair all tossed, holding up a little.
Oh, it was great. It was great.
Oh, he's escaped. Do you reckon he'll come here senior prom tonight for Donna? Do you reckon he's gonna?
Let's
he's
not.
like, nah.
And then he's like, let's not call the hotel and warn them. Like it's just like,
Yeah.
Has he had no time to reflect in those 3 years though? Because I feel like in those maybe a little bit of time to reflect and go, maybe it wasn't the right thing to do to get her attention. You know, maybe something else.
No, I simply didn't kill enough people. That's what it was. That was the problem.
And the knife he's got, that goes through some. It's effective.
The fucking, it's like a fucking velociraptor's claw from Jurassic Park.
Exactly,
it's ridiculous.
Like,
it
is exactly like that.
Corkscrew nearly. Like, yeah, no, it was quite the film.
Yeah. And in the original, everything that builds up to the prom, I mean, I don't want to go over it without too much detail. However, a lot of the stuff that kind of happens is very like, it's obviously the killer's making phone calls to everybody.
Yeah, but that's it. He doesn't seem to be lurky. Like we don't get those nice little killer lurking shots. It's all.
Are there even any like?
He has a really expensive phone bill, and
they're not even that threatening, are they? The phone calls.
No.
I'll get you. I will.
Okay, I will.
Half of them don't even take him seriously.
They don't.
Like, literally just like, oh, fuck off.
There were actually times when I felt as if this film, if it had been made any later, I think it could have gotten away with being, you know, like the first Scream, like in terms of it was almost metafictional. It was almost, I don't want to say a parody, it was almost a pastiche of slashers. Like, but it was far too early in film history and in the history of horror for it to have been intended that way, and it definitely wasn't. But there were times where I was watching it and I was like, this is almost a pastiche or a parody. The character of Wendy altogether, just everything about her is just the best. Living for her. But like, she doesn't take the call seriously. It's almost like they react as if they're not in a horror film, you know. They react as how a real person actually would. And parts of it felt, as I said, it wasn't wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but it felt like it could have been, you know, if they had just kind of had that kind of realization when they were making it.
So Wendy is like the girl who was saying kill originally. She's gone out with Nick, they split up, and then Nick becomes interested in Kim. And then obviously there's tension there. Yeah. Tension that boils down to essentially Wendy going, well, I'm going to ask this unnecessarily unattractive unattractive bully character. Basically, we got one of those Neanderthal models from the museum.
Where did they find him?
Brought him to life. He's
literally, he looks about like 60. He's like, he looks like Barney old looking.
No, he looks like he has a syndrome, and like not one of like the reasonable ones. Do you know what I mean? Like it literally, like I thought he was wearing prosthetics. I genuinely was like, why have they put prosthetics on that man's face?
Like,
he had like caveman prosthetics.
And
like,
then it's made even worse.
Like, that's not real.
It's made even worse when he turns out to prom and they've just like put him in a tuxedo, but with like jeans on, flared jeans. So he's like got a monobrow.
He's got a very heavy brow. Has he got a gap in his tooth?
Heavy brow.
It's not a gap tooth. It is like that, like you said, that Neanderthal teeth. That it's not as if there's a gap between just the front teeth. It's as if they're all really small and there's an equal gap between them all. It's like this kind of just the most bizarre looking man. No, he should be studied. He probably is in formaldehyde as we speak. And it was really insane to me because he had like this really buff, like hunky body, and then just this face like a smacked arse or a bag of chisels. Like it was absolutely ridiculous. And my favorite part about him at all actually is, you know, when sorry, I'm trying to remember all the characters' names. His name is Lou, the
Yeah.
Neanderthal, and Kim is Jamie Lee Curtis, who I'll call Jamie Lee Curtis for the rest of this episode. And you know, he's kind of hitting on her loads throughout the film, and she's rejecting him, and she says that he's ugly, which is very true. And
he's very ugly, yeah.
So he comes up to her in the canteen wearing a balaclava and kind of assaults her and kind of forces himself on her, and he's like, "Oh, is this better?" And I was just like, and then he starts kind of trying to force her to kiss him through the balaclava, and I was just like, in what world is this a flex? Like, in what world?
1970s Northern Ireland is when that's a flex.
Like, oh, well, if you think I'm ugly, I'll sort that problem out for you. And
come on, do you?
Like,
hop the rat.
In what world is he like? Oh, you sure showed her, Lou. Like,
but her only criticism of him was like, oh yeah, well at least he doesn't taste like an ashtray. So it was up that he like smoked. So like, why is he showing up with a fucking balaclava to be like, oh, is this better? Like, no, I can still fucking smell the bags. Do you know what I mean?
Nobody takes rejection well in either of these films.
No.
It's a lot of hurt ego. In both of these
like
movies.
Some would say the true killer of this film was fragile male egos.
Yeah.
It's true.
You can end it right there. The straight white men.
I mean, one thing I did notice was there was a distinct lack of people of color in the 1980s version. Now, in the 2008 version, there was 2 people of color, and of course, they had to attend prom together because their school still operates dance segregation, like the school in Hairspray, which also starred Brittany Snow.
Right? Oh, wow!
Because that was like, I was like, of course they're going together. Of course,
yeah,
they are.
Why not?
Black and white people can't dance together, but in the 1980s, in the 1981, black people just don't exist in this school or anyone else who's not a white 42-year-old.
Was the only other black character in the remake, obviously apart from
Idris Elba,
but also the DJ. The DJ, it was like
the DJ. They're working hard.
Balcony. He's on some sort of floating balcony.
Oh my god!
Can I come down for just an hour? Can I come down for a minute, get a drink? No, stay up there in your little balcony. But the songs he's playing, an absolute, just the cross section of songs he's playing, it goes from like pop punk to hip hop to, I don't know. He was playing all the genres.
He took me right back. He took me right back. Like, there was like, now I don't know if any of these people are in the film, but what I thought of like Flow Rider. I thought of, you know, I for some reason I can't think of anyone else but Flow Rider.
My head right round. Yeah.
The Way I Are.
T-Pain.
A lot
the
of
way I are.
A lot of that going on.
Oh, Timbaland, yeah.
Timbaland. He's not even Flow Rider. But there was so much dancing in this film. Like, I felt like we saw the family get killed at the start, which was a dream and doesn't count, and then nothing really happens for ages, and then prom happens, and then 45 minutes of the film are just a character going off on their own, getting killed, and then it goes back to people dancing and someone going, where did Matilda go? I don't know, I'm sure it's fine. And then like dancing for 5 minutes, and then the same thing happens. I was like, oh, and now Ricky is gone too.
I have never known there to be so many excuses to go back to your room.
Yeah.
If
they were doing cocaine. They were doing cocaine.
I get that. That's it. That's the only reason. That is the only reason you'd be fucking back and forth.
If I was hanging out with these guys, there's, oh sorry, I just got to go back upstairs to get my short. I'd just be like, fuck's sake. Just bring everything down with you. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Look, they don't call her Brittany Snow for nothing, right? You're like, I'm gonna get sued by Brittany Snow.
I'm looking at the soundtrack. Right, okay. Artists we've got in the soundtrack: Tokyo Hotel, Plain White Tees, Block Party.
Oh yeah. Bring it all back.
Oh yeah, I like the soundtrack though. I was like, it reminds me of a simpler time.
Took me right back. 17-year-old Conor was all about this life. Yeah.
At the Button Factory.
Sorry, I do have to call out though. The intro song to the 2008 film was Time of the Season. Can I ask why that song was chosen as the introduction? Like, why?
It's such a good song, right? I will say, like, it's a very good song. The cover that they used was crap, but it also brought me major I Know What You Did Last Summer vibes.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're doing there.
Yeah.
I see what you're doing there.
Kind of like the whole like over the ocean, and then it was like the like sensual music. But I was also just like, just use a fucking better cover of it.
Well, it just reminded me of What We Do in the Shadows, because I always think of that being the song.
You're dead, you're dead,
that's the song that they sing when they take the bar karaoke.
Time of the season is performed by the Ben Taylor Band.
Oh God, yeah, that says everything, doesn't it? I bet Brittany Snow loves them.
It's her favorite band.
Definitely.
All it
She's in it.
Was like the Ben Taylor Band performing at the prom, and that would have been it.
No, I don't think that Chrissy, the mean girl who organized the prom, would have ever allowed that to happen, because she wanted that prom to be, and I quote, exactly like an LA club. And then she said something like, "You'd never know, right?" And it was like, that doesn't make any sense. Who wrote the script? And you can actually see at several points how pained the actors are to be saying the words that they're saying. Like, you can actually feel them be like, I gotta say this now. And then it's like, oh, you can feel it from them. They're all having a terrible time, except for Mr. Schuster's wife from Glee. She is having
like bopping around. She's so happy. I love that for her.
And while we're on the topic of dance, we do need to address the choreographed dance number from the 1980 film.
Well, I kind of love the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis even practices the dance on her own.
Get a sneak peek.
You get a sneak peek at the dance, and that's when Wendy turns up and gives her a bit of
major sass.
I lost my mind when this happened, right? Because I'm just very much like, I'm so glad that men don't do dances. And
I'm not.
Like, okay, it's even this, right? And then if you look at the fucking dance from Wednesday that everyone loves, I hated that, because I think that I am a descendant from somebody who's from the town that Footloose was set in. I just hate dancing. I'm not behind it at all. I was like, what, this is like fucking 5 minutes of the movie and my life that we're never going to get back, and I would love to just have this put into
Prom Night.
Oh my God.
Which is like fucking 3 hours too long, by the way. The whole movie was playing.
Right.
Oh, it was so I'm going to perform this dance at my wedding, like, to that song. I do not care.
Just to spite me.
I'm gonna make it, and it's gonna be the full version, possibly the remix. I hope so. I really fucking hope so, because it was the most incredible 15 minutes of my life watching this choreographed dance number, and it just
went on and on.
Thought it would end, and it didn't. It was so great, and again,
I hated it.
Everything is all right.
But when has that ever been a thing? Is that like back in those days? Was that a thing? Like, did couples go to their prom and actually do choreographed dances in front of everybody? Was that actually a thing, or was it just like a fucking for this movie?
It's very American.
Is it though?
I reckon it was, because obviously a few years after like the boom of disco, I guess, I reckon loads of fucking kids at school were just busting out the choreographed dance moves after watching John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever.
If we have anyone listening who enjoys choreographed dancing, like, do please find me on Instagram. It's at Team Coco
He wants to take you to his prom.
I want to take you to my wedding where I will marry you. That'd be great. No, I'm all about that life. I loved every second of it, though.
When does it happen that it's before the prom, and that when the shard of glass gets taken from like a smashed mirror?
Yeah, when they're getting
as
well,
isn't it?
We see Jamie Lee in her little bra and shirt, open shirt combo. It was a bit boom, like
bralette.
Yeah, bralette.
It was a bralette. That's what they call it.
Bustier.
A bustier. So obviously, I guess another couple of things we need to mention is the fact that the red herring plot is kind of discussed by the police when they're talking about somebody that was blamed for Robin's death, and he has escaped from a psychiatric facility, and
after people set him on fire.
after people set him on fire.
Yeah, was that really necessary in the plot? Like, I thought that
set this sex offender on fire. You definitely pushed the girl out the window. He's like, I didn't. I'm a sex offender.
Yeah.
Kill him.
Who do you think I am? Fenton, whatever his name is from 2000.
Who do you think I am? Highly trained Fenton.
I'm a lover, not a killer.
God. And he's angry, and I don't blame him.
Rightfully so.
And also, Leslie Nielsen is the principal at the school.
Yeah,
I don't father.
And the father. And obviously, they're telling him, they're giving him the information like, you're not a sex offender. Yeah, escaped. What?
Oh, well, I'm not cancelling prom, that's for sure.
he's like the mayor from Jules. He's just like, this prom will go ahead no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
Sex offender, a Fenton, or a shark. This prom is going ahead.
Why not all three?
I actually watched...
Make this a real party.
I watched Jaws recently because I watch it every 6 weeks because it's one of my favorite movies. I love it. But yeah, that whole thing, that mayor, like I don't understand it. It's just like this beach will open on the 4th of July because it's the 4th of July, and you're like, 7 people are dead. Like, what do you want to happen?
Yeah, but Dani, do you know how much money those ice cream stalls stand to lose if they close on 4th of July weekend? The whole town is surviving on that ice cream stall.
Someone's got to set by these cornettos.
When I lived in Montauk, I lived like literally 10 minutes away from where Jaws was filmed. So it's like the fictional island of like, is it Amity, isn't it? Yeah. And it's so fucking busy all the time because you've got people going out there to take pictures with the Jaws sign, and they have like, you know, the original shark that they caught. They're like, we got Jaws. I don't want Jaws, but it's so fucking busy all year round. And when you look at it, you're like, it's such an easy beach. I was a lifeguard in like a beach like over the way, and it's such an easy beach to police that you're just like, how are people still dying? You can literally just cast your eye 3 feet further this way and you're gonna be fine. And it's just like, it's such a tiny stretch of land that it's like
we need to do a whole other podcast episode on your lifeguard history on Jules Island.
She is gagging to get back on for a Jaws episode. That's what she's doing.
I'll come on for a Jaws episode, but literally
we'll have to do Jules 3D.
It's just a case that it's so obvious, you know what I mean? It's so easy to fucking police, which is the same with Prom Night. That it's just like, how can you not watch a fucking senior class of like, how many students max? 60 to 80 students max?
I feel like I used to get a lot angry at films like this and films like Jules about the mayor until like COVID happened and you realize that it was like,
because people are idiots.
People are idiots and just don't give a shit. Now I'm just a bit like, this is actually really realistic.
No, Dani just gets angry about everything, so
it's because I have common sense. I'm like, the fact that I'm such a horror movie fan, but I have so much common sense and I can't separate the two. It just basically means I go into a rage when I watch horror movies.
I honestly think that like late 2000s movies are the most guilty
of
no common sense with any of the characters. I feel like even like characters in 80s movies to a degree seem to have a bit more common sense, but like some of the decisions made in the 2008 Prom Night when people are literally going missing, at one point Donna like asks her boyfriend to like look for Lisa and is it Ronnie?
Ronnie. It is Ronnie. Ronnie. Yeah. About
3 different times. Like, could you go bring the thing? Yeah, not there. Could you go and have a look? Yeah, come back. Could you go and have a look over here now? Do it yourself, Donna, for God's sake.
You go fucking look if you're that concerned. You go look. And you'll probably be more thorough about it as well. Like,
I have to stay here and mind this shawl. Very important shawl.
But she doesn't mind it. She leaves it up in the fucking room.
Fucking useless.
I have to say that, right? One of my favorite things of the first one was the little chubby guy, the little chubby player. What did he say his name was? Seymour Nuts. Seymour
Slick,
but it was Seymour something. I loved him, and I was like, literally, like, this
Seymour
is like the
Crane. His name is apparently
His
character name is Seymour Crane, but his real name is Sheldon Rybowski.
That's way worse.
Love that for him. But like literally, he was so nice, and he was the only one that actually just did anything right, because literally, like, so they hooked up, they were having a great time, blah blah whatever. Guy comes in and he's like, like kills her, slits her throat, and he's the only one that like actually kicks him out of the van and then goes to fucking drive the van away because he has sense. Everyone else is just like, do you know what I mean? He's just like, no, fuck you.
What happens to him? Does he drive off?
He drives the van off a cliff and then it bursts into flames, which would never happen. Like, no, he's driving away, freaking out. Like,
when he drives off the edge of that cliff, he did it with sense, all right?
Yeah, because he was trying to get away. Everybody else was just like, and like this other one who's in the fucking locker room, right? And she's like in the locker room, and then she's gonna lose her V card to him, and then she doesn't, and he's like, I know plenty who will. And I'm like, why are you crying? He's a fucking cunt. Like, just punch him in the nuts. And then she gets murdered. And I'm like,
it's the late 70s. Yeah. Women didn't know their worth back then because of advertising agencies. Mainly
Dove. Home to the kitchen.
Mainly Dove. Yeah. Dove and Wonder Bra will have to be blamed for.
Also, you know what I mean? I'm just like, the whole thing is just like, if that was women these days, you just fucking, like, everything could be solved if you just didn't listen to men. That's it. That's the whole fucking thing.
The true slasher.
Like,
the true killer. Tanya.
Yeah. And I'm just like, straight white men.
Armed with a mirror shard will come for you. So Kelly, who you mentioned then, who obviously gets upset, she's like pretty much killed immediately by the masked killer with. So this is the thing.
She's the first, isn't she? I think she's the first to be killed. So
I didn't understand that, because she was a virgin. She didn't have sex. She should have lasted by, you know, horror movie rules. She should have lasted a lot longer than she did, because she was like, no, I can't do it. Sorry. But and he was like, fuck you. And he throws the corsage all dramatic into the room at her. And he's like, I'll find somebody else who will. And he leaves. And then she gets killed. And I'm like, but she's the virgin. She's the pretty little virgin girl. He should have been killed on his like way out, really.
Well, that's it though. Was it sorry, Ben, was it to like subvert your expectations maybe with that? Sorry, go on, Ben.
Maybe.
Yeah, possibly. Was Drew one of the kids from the start as well? Remind me.
No, he wasn't.
No.
That must be.
That's the, he was kind of just like a nothing character, which is why it confused me a lot, because I'm just like, well, he's got nothing to do with it. She had nothing to do with it, and it's just like, why is she paying for it?
No, she was there.
No, she was there, but like I know that, but like I just mean horror movie trope. She should have lasted a lot longer than she did.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because she's the virgin, she's blah blah whatever.
I guess it just like I kind of, in a way, like, it just feels unfair, doesn't it? And that's kind of, I guess. I mean, I don't think this original one has got loads going for it in terms, but like when that kind of makes the killer feel a little bit like, if they're being unfair, ruthless in a way, that kind of makes, because there are slight horror elements here, because the killer is masked and we don't know who the killer is, so it's like a whodunit, similar to like Scream or something like that. Whereas Prom Night 2008, I say Prom Night like we're talking about other films. The killer is like, we know the killer is from the start, and it almost feels like a police procedural / thriller throughout. It never really dials into any horror tropes.
No, that's so true.
We know who the killer is. Sure, they're like kind of like jump scares where when Fenton hides in like a closet, doesn't he? Hides in like a what is it?
That actually was a really great shot, I have to say, where they opened and it's pure darkness, and then he just kind of rises up from it. I actually thought that was like a Fincher-esque like visual.
Yeah,
it was like
that was really good.
Single frame that didn't make the whole film worth it.
Luckily, all he needs to do is put his head down, and that hat just shrouds him in darkness.
Well, no, that hat, the fucking invisibility cloak of this movie, is absolutely insane.
So obviously he's escaped from prison. He goes straight to Prom Night, and who does he kill? So he kills
the maid. She's the first. The maid in Manhattan.
In order to get the skeleton key, in order to get the key.
The hot friend.
Who's Silver from 90210.
Yeah, and the hot friend's boyfriend.
She recognizes him immediately. So why?
Yeah, because she's not a fucking idiot. Oh, his hat fell off. That's why.
Who could that guy be?
He dropped his hat. Oh my god.
So yeah, and then there's like another guy who gets like sent to look for the maid, who gets killed.
Oh yeah. He looks like Owen Wilson and Luke Wilson smushed together.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 And he's the third brother. He's the hidden third brother.
Yeah, like literally the hidden Wilson. Yeah, he does look like him. And he's like, "I'll go check." And you're like, "Why is this such a pain for you?" He looks so annoyed that he's been sent up there to check. You're like,
Dani, because that maid could be anywhere. She could be anywhere. It's a fucking hotel. Dani. I would be really annoyed if I had to go look for a maid
I get to
in a
drive
hotel.
off and not clean. I would be fine.
They only got one maid.
Exactly.
She's working her fingers to the bone.
Well, see, they spent all the money. They spent all the money on the fire alarm system, so they weren't able to afford any more staff.
They got like a celebrity voice to do it.
Yeah, and the staff aren't allowed to hand the towels to the residents because they might steal them. They don't let them out of their sight at any time because of the shortages.
The shortages of towels.
Yeah, no. The fire alarm system will tell you when you need a towel. Okay.
So with Fenton, right? Fenton obviously wants to. Fenton wants to. He doesn't want to kill Donna, but he just wants to show her that he's serious by killing those around her. He couldn't be lucky.
I get it. Thank you.
He couldn't be luckier to get her alone because she's literally the only person in the hotel always on her own. She's walking out to the room, looking for a shawl, looking for people.
Her fucking shawl. It was such an ugly shawl as well.
It did not match her dress. It didn't.
No, I'm not gonna go back upstairs for that fucking shawl if everyone's like having a mass evacuation.
What's the like corsage? Is that what it's called?
Corsage.
Corsage.
Like a mass, like it's a corsage shaped like a croissant. Yeah.
I don't know.
I know you love croissants, so I got you this corsage that's made of one.
I
feel like I'd like that.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that like an American thing? Or?
No, we do them here. We don't call them. No, we do corsage. We don't call them that here. We just call them orchids here. We say, oh, get the girl an orchid. Well, this is what we do in Ireland anyway for the Debs. You'd be expected to bring. You buy them in a florist. It's just called an orchid, but it's the same thing, and it's just a little flower that they might put on their dress or they might put on their wrist. Some do. But yeah, no, that'd be like a real traditional thing here, but we don't call it a corsage. That's it's like how we don't call a garage, that kind of way. Like
the garage.
Yeah. A car hole.
A car hole. A garret hole.
You'd like that one.
That's how big the car is.
Whoa, my rope came loose.
Okay, so like a plot point that kind of goes across both films essentially is the fact that the sex offender burned man is found in the original, and in the remake they find somebody who Fenton had like stolen his car and then his identity. Had he done that? That's where you got to shred your paperwork, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
People be coming along stealing your identity willy-nilly and getting themselves into a hotel.
But look, this was actually something that in the original movie I kind of couldn't wrap my head around, because when the killer is unmasked and it was like, how did you think you were going to get away with this? Like, you had no kind of cover story, you weren't like pinning it on anyone. Like, what did you think was going to happen? Like, prom has to end sometime, regardless of what the tagline of a film says, which would have been a great tagline for either of these movies. It never ends.
It never ends.
It never
like
ends.
the cleaning of the house.
It's prom night forever. But we never really got like an insight into him as a character.
No.
I feel like if we got, I know it's like supposed to be who done it, so we're supposed to work out who the killer is, and that when the sex offender, that's literally all I know him as, is found,
Bernie McBurn.
Bernie McBurnison is supposed to be like a big shock moment, isn't it? It's supposed to be like a, oh shit, so it's somebody else. It's not that person.
Yeah.
Who we've kind of trying to force down your throats that it's going to be that person, but it's not. But
I genuinely, I have to say, for the original, I was shocked because I feel like the person who it was so unmemorable, like just so forgettable that I was like, when it was revealed that it was him, I was like, oh, I'm like, yeah, okay, I can kind of see why he'd be annoyed.
Wait a minute,
I was like,
that?
It just left my head completely, and I was just like, okay.
But then that feels kind of bad as well. The fact that it's somebody you don't is not memorable at all, because it felt like the most obvious character for it to be, and I as I said, I didn't think it was anybody else at all. And then for a bit I was like, oh, it might be quite cool if it's Leslie Nielsen.
I thought it might have been the mother, because she was missing.
She remember, was like so distraught.
She was getting distraught, and Leslie Nielsen, who by the way was so handsome.
I know.
I can't believe I never copped how handsome he was.
So hot.
He turns up and he's like, sorry, me and your mother missed your big moment, which is like, yeah, thanks, Dad. It is only my job. And he was like, oh, she's very upset. And you actually don't see her for the rest of the film. And I kind of went, is it her? But then I was like,
she's like in hiding, like the whole fucking like Michael thing, and you're just
he gave her fucking 2 Valium and a bottle of wine and just let her go to sleep in his office.
That's a regular fucking Wednesday night for me. It's fine. But like,
it's the perfect
you know what I mean?
prom night.
Prom night.
Prom night forever.
Right.
Prom night every night, baby.
So in the rebate they find the body of this guy in a trunk. I was using all the Americanisms. In a boot.
The boot of the car.
In the boot of the car. And then they basically go. Wynn, the detective, is basically working things out now, so he goes to the room, booked in the victim's name, finds the housekeeper's body. That's when he sounds the alarm.
Mm-hmm. Alert! Alert! The building is too hot. Releasing coolant.
Was the voice Irish as well?
Oh my god!
Alert!
I couldn't wrap my head around who installed this fire alarm and how much did it cost. And like it was literally like it was like one step away from just like being Hal and being like, I can't let you do that, Donna. Like it was literally like it was like so almost the eye. This alarm.
If you played Days Gone, Ben, have you've played Days Gone, right?
Yeah, I sure have.
When they go back to like Clover Hill, and they're trying to break in and get the codes for the thing, and it's like alert, and she's like, shoot that fucking alarm. That's literally the thing. It's literally that alarm. Yeah, and then you have to go around. You have to like shoot the different speakers with the arm.
Oh,
I
always miss one.
Yeah.
And you're like, also, there's always somebody when an alarm goes off, fire alarm or something. There's always someone who's like, "Sorry, I just got to go get my flip flops."
My shawl,
like that.
My shawl.
There's always someone. You're just like, well, just leave. Like it's still gonna be there. Like, what do you think? My shawl,
bruv. I can't let the fire destroy my shawl. You know what I mean?
My mum left the shawl out.
I love that shawl. It's the only one I got.
Upstairs to get the shawl.
Why is she leaving it in the room? If it's so important to you, why are you just leaving it up in the room?
Exactly. If it's part of your fucking outfit.
She didn't know. No, because it didn't match her outfit. So I can see why she wanted to leave it. Also, in her defense, she did not know the hotel was going to potentially go on fire, which is something people should be more conscious of and cognizant of when they're in a hotel, because I mean it could happen at any moment. Could happen. No, but you see, in a hotel you're relying on other people to not set their room on fire, and that's asking a lot of people these days, because people are getting worse and dumber by the day. So you're asking a lot. But no, I hate Donna and her ugly shawl.
She's pretty annoying. And also we obviously mentioned the fact that Ronnie and Lisa go up to, I think it looks like they're going to have sex, but Ronnie's going to propose. 18 years old, propose.
Americans, they do.
Wait, I missed that. I missed that. Was he going to propose? Also,
they must know, like, the prom king and queen are going to be announced soon. So why the fuck are they decided to like?
Maybe they just don't care. Oh no, wait, because she was the nominee.
No, she wanted to win. Yeah.
She wanted to win, and her teacher wanted her to win as well.
How did I miss the proposal thing? I had no idea about the proposal thing.
That was she saw Fenton and then she realized it was him and went running off, and he got his little he was going to propose. So he got his ring out. So Donna goes up to get her shawl from the room. But there it says here she runs into Fenton. Oh, Fenton, I haven't seen you in years.
Yeah, it's very casual, isn't it?
Yeah, and it says after a short altercation. Well, basically, he's just like, "I love you. Come here. I've murdered everybody, so we could be together."
I would go with him. I would go with him. No one's ever told me that.
This is another reason why it doesn't feel like a horror film. A fucking SWAT team turns up.
Yeah, like, I didn't. That kind of took me out of it as well, to be honest.
To be fair,
like the SWAT team.
Out of some of the reviews, one of the reviews what I read was quite interesting was the fact that they said, as a slasher movie, the fact that it's in like a 4 or 5 star hotel, like a well lit hotel as well, is kind of interesting for like a slasher movie to be set somewhere like that.
Mm-hmm.
I know we get like a sequence where when Fenton kills Lisa in like one of the floors which is being renovated.
Yeah.
That kind of feels a bit more like
horror
with
the
clear plastic and everything like that. Yeah,
it was interesting though, because as soon as the hotel receptionist said to them as they were checking in, "Oh, there's renovations on the 3rd floor," I was like, that scene is going to feature in a big chase kind of way, because it kind of lends itself to that. But I actually, now look, don't get me wrong, this film was not scary at all. I tend to actually be a fan of horror movies that do kind of go against the trope and like move the horror to a location that's not typically used in horror movies like that, do you know?
Yeah, definitely. No,
I kind of, because it kind of jars you. It's like the whole thing of Midsummer taking place mostly in broad daylight. Do you know? I'm always a big fan of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. It's unique, and yeah, even though it takes you out of it a little bit, I think it's just because of the nature of this film as well. Like, it doesn't necessarily feel like a horror film anyway.
No, I'd argue it isn't. Yeah, it doesn't really fall into the genre. Like, it's kind of like it's a slasher because a man has a knife, but nothing about how it's shot or the tone of it in any way kind of should be described as being a horror.
Yeah, definitely. I would put it more as like a thriller than a horror.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think we're all in agreement on that then.
Yeah,
this is thriller hangout. But then how do you, like, what kind of horror elements would you say are in? I mean, more traditional horror elements in the 1980 film as well. But even like the kills, like,
yeah,
is it that bloody? Is it that violent?
They weren't, and I'd say that was probably a conscious decision because of budget. I mean, I believe like they probably had a really hard time financing this kind of film. So I'd say it had a lot to do with the budget of it. I suppose the most but again, you're dead right. Even in terms of horror, like there's none of that. The things we typically ascribe to the slasher genre. There's none of the lurking, as we've discussed around, you know, the broad daylight. There's nothing that Michael Myers kind of shadowy. Yeah. In fact, nothing happens in this film for an hour and 10 minutes. No, not
that's true.
Not that I can remember.
I've completely forgotten a character we haven't even mentioned. The school janitor, Sykes.
Oh my God, Mr. Sykes, where do we
Let's get you off home. Let's get you off home. You've had quite enough to drink.
Where do we begin with Mr. Sykes? First of all, great name, and great name for your red herring, another red herring character.
Yeah.
Mr. Sykes, like, for fuck's sake. Played actually by a man, I don't know his name was, but I was like, who the fuck is this guy? And he's been in loads of horror movies as like creep number 4, like,
yeah, he was very familiar. So as soon as you see him, you're like, this is every horror movie character, like ever. Yeah.
But it was kind of disturbing that there was a scene where the teenage girl like pulls down her entire shorts to flash Mr. Sykes. Like,
oh yeah,
what was that?
Yeah.
She gave him no need.
Ass.
No need.
Yeah,
gave him full ass and then went, "You dirty pervert."
Yeah, please don't like sexually assault the disabled caretaker of the school. Like,
yeah, legit. That's what it was.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Like these kids kind of had a lot of stuff coming to them in fairness. Like they were
dicks.
Yeah, they weren't great people. But on that kind of train of, you know, was this a horror? It's kind of a thriller. One of the things that I think that the film could have really been improved by would have been that if I'm a sucker for a non-linear narrative. And I think that if they had not revealed everything that had happened in the opening scene as it happened, and if it was instead kind of cutting back and forth between the two timelines, and it would have created this sense of mystery of why is this person after them, and it kind of slowly, and you know, the kind of, instead of it was all out in the open, so you automatically knew the whole, and that would have, I think, created a bit more suspense and made it more interesting. It also made me realize that I Know What You Did Last Summer just blatantly ripped off this film. Like, it is literally just
100%.
an absolute.
I know it's like probably sacrilege to say, but I think they did it better. Like, I mean, I love I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I feel like it did literally kind of just fill in a lot of the fucking potholes that Prom Night left. And like, another thing as well is that it's like, you have no fucking idea. Whereas like with Prom Night, you got a list of people that it could be, and that's the, you know, the only fucking people it could be. Whereas this is just like, oh my god, they hit that man. Who could have possibly seen them? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just it weirds me because I'm just like, I prefer to just not know anything.
It a hell of a lot better, I think.
It's even Sorority Row. Like, if you take like Audrina Patridge, you're like, it's clearly Audrina Patridge. Like, you would never suspect anyone outside of her or like a random fucking like sorority member. Like, I genuinely did not know who it could have been. Like, and then when they bring in her sister and everything, you're just like, oh, it's her, it's fucking her. It's not her. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just things like that, whereas like I don't like having like, here is your set list of characters that you can choose from. It just pisses me off.
On that though, Dani, and it is my issue with Sorority Row, yes, you don't see the reveal coming, but there has to be a believable reason for the characters to do it, and I think that's where Sorority Row really falls down, because I was like, this is not justification. No, it's like, I want you to be the perfect wife, so I need to kill everyone over this. Like, I was like, what? It just wouldn't happen. He would just break up with her and find someone else. You know, like,
I just really I love that twist, that it was, because it's so like true as well, that you're like, because you've heard of so many like government conspiracies. Like, you take Marilyn Monroe, who got like knocked off because she was knocking off both the Kennedys. Do you know what I mean? Things like that, really. You have to have such a clean image. And I just love that reveal. I thought that was great. And I would never have seen that coming, ever. And I'm like, again, he wasn't even for me. If you're trying to think of like, who could have possibly done this, he wasn't remotely in the equation. With this,
it's kind of like, it's one of two people. I kind of felt like, and then when it is one of those two people, you're like, right, okay. There's no like huge reveal, and you're like, wow, I can't believe it. I want to understand the reasoning for it. But does he even, when he's revealed in 1980 film, does he even say anything?
He gurgles.
Yeah,
she had hit him with an axe. So.
Oh yeah, of course. Did she hit him with? Yeah, she did hit him with an axe.
Yeah,
I don't know. I kind of wanted something. I felt like the character needed something, and of course we understand the reasoning. We know, of course, that's a good enough reason as any. However, I would have liked to have heard something.
Well, I kind of felt that way about the whole film. I felt like it was just always lacking something. I feel like, first of all, you've got a good hour and 10 minutes, and I don't mind a slow burn. I really, really don't. But there's an hour, 10 minutes of nothing happening, and
it's a 93-minute movie, though, isn't it? So
yeah, it's just over an hour and a half. So like it's only literally that last act, and we all love a third act bloodbath, which is, you know, convention of the genre as well, but it didn't really kick off to me until Wendy's chase scene, which went on like for quite a substantial amount of time. But that's the first time that I think you kind of have that kind of excitement, that it gets kind of exciting. I mean, and even at that point already like 2 or 3 people have been killed, but it's not exciting. It gets a bit exciting there. And I have to say, I was actually very jealous of her chase scene, because as Dani knows, it is a fantasy of mine to be chased by a man with a knife. Like, not to be caught by him, but it's always kind of been a thing that I just kind of love to happen and survive. So I was really jealous.
On as well, or
no, maybe some kind of Venetian mask. I think I could be kind of into. No, the balaclava. I'd be like, that's Lou, get out of here.
For God's sake, Lou.
I did love that he actually got his head cut off, which was the worst part of him. You know, because he had an amazing body, and then it was like,
that was good, and it was kind of unexpected, I think.
Yeah.
How
I've seen that coming.
So obviously, after the chase with Wendy, is that when Sykes like tries to notify everyone that someone's been killed, and they're just like,
oh, Sykes,
oh, Sykes, you've had enough. She showed me her ass yesterday.
Get it?
Sykes. She showed me her whole ass yesterday. Of course she did, Sykes. Get yourself off home.
Yeah, no. And the terrible PE teacher, no, she witnessed that whole ass showing experience. Did you notice the PE teacher has 3 girls on a bench practicing how to move a tennis racket?
Yeah.
So instead of learning to play tennis by actually playing the game, she's showing them like just how to like move their wrists. Like, what kind of fucking PE teacher is this? Like, just get on the court and just hit the fucking ball and see what happens.
She's very much like, all right, girls, take it off, get in the shower, and bounce around for me. That's like the kind of fucking PE teacher she is. There
was a lot of carry in this movie. I thought there was a lot of it was very
legit. Yeah.
I don't want to say rip off, but there was a lot of homage to Carrie for a lot of it, and I did feel that way. But with the PE teacher, I thought she was a bit of a Miss Desjardins.
Yeah,
let's be honest. Yeah, 100%.
So I guess we might as well just do the final acts in both of the films. So in the original, it's when they crown King and Queen, but Lou and it says here Lou and his lackeys. No, I can't remember any lackeys. Do you have lackeys?
No, yeah, he did because he was in the car. He picked Wendy up for the prom, and there was like two guys, like his greasers with him.
Greasers.
Yeah.
Were they more attractive than him? Of course they were.
Oh, yeah, of course they were. Like, sorry, like Mr. Sykes was more attractive.
Mr. Sykes was more attractive. The burned sex offender was more attractive.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Freddie Krieger.
Krieger.
So Kim and Nick prepare to be crowned prom king and queen, but they tie them both up. Lou takes Nick's crown, but it's when the killer is getting ready to kill Nick, because obviously Nick was one of the kids at the start. The killer approaches Lou.
Does that, sorry to like completely interrupt here, so I'm so sorry, but that doesn't come out, does it? Like, she never finds out that he was there. I know he tries to tell her.
Yeah, that's interesting, actually.
I thought that.
Because he has her, like, they go for a walk and stuff, and he's like, I
like he's getting ready to tell her, and then he
doesn't, and then
he does. He says they killed my sister or something. He does say it like very vaguely as she holds him.
It wasn't his sister though. It was his sister. Brother's sister. No, it was Kim's little brother's sister.
No, it's the killer's.
No, it was Kim's little brother who's curvy and gay and weird and like it was his.
He's the killer
sister, because it was Kim's little sister.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but like the little brother, who was also the victim's brother. Yeah. It wasn't Mick. Mick, like the other guy was there. Her boyfriend was there. Oh,
sorry. You're saying Nick doesn't know. Yeah. Sorry, I'm so confused now.
No, sorry. Okay.
So
Nick,
is there a moment that Nick admits to Kim that he was there when it happened?
Sorry.
He's thinking about it, isn't he? He's trying to. She says that he's thinking about doing it. It's really weird, though, isn't it? Because you would think that there's so much tension there, where her actual boyfriend was there, and also people she's friends with were involved as well. But you think that there would be a moment where it was revealed in front of them.
That's what I mean. It doesn't come back around
with the shock of that. It doesn't, because he kills everybody before anything can be revealed.
That's the thing. Like, he tries to tell you, the Kim, I, and then she's just like, what? And then the bell rings and she has to go. And then I'm like, so does she ever find out that it was him?
Well, I'd say she knows, because I mean, she'd put it together. If Nick was there and all the others were on that day, and she was there as well, and her and Alex left, and she knows that she left that girl with those. Like, it's strange that she didn't put it together sooner. Actually, like, what cover story? What cover story did they use? They were like, yes, we were there, but then we left her there, and she was alive when we left.
She's on her own. She just threw herself out the window.
They would have questioned, if they knew the kids were there, they would have questioned them as well, right? They would have tried.
I was really confused by it, because I was just kind of like, is that like, there's no issue? And then, like, obviously when you find out who it is, and she's like, don't shoot her, and she's like on the floor with him, and it's her brother. I'm like, okay, but like, what the fuck happened to the other people who were all there and all responsible, like whatever the fuck? Nothing happened and nothing was said, and she didn't have a confrontation with anybody else who was there.
I think it needed that. It definitely needed that. It needed.
They didn't even address that.
Even a moment where she kind of feels like she's sympathizing with the killer in a way, where she's
and I think you're so right. I think it needed a moment for Kim to have like a catharsis about it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know?
And if that happens, it's going to happen off screen after the film, you know? That's what we're supposed to think. It didn't have anything into it.
Oh, yeah, that's what I love to go see films for, to imagine what happened off screen. That's what I pay for my ticket for.
I'm still living in the world of the film after I first saw it.
Yeah.
He's lying on the floor crying.
What's Kim doing?
And stuff.
Hope she's okay.
Yeah.
So, obviously, the killer approaches...
You go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say, like, the killer obviously decapitates Lou, because the killer thinks it's Nick because he's got the crown on. I mean, I don't know. I suppose seeing Lou from behind is probably the best way to see him. And
damn right.
This is damn straight. This is a pretty good little scene there, a little sequence where the severed head rolls into the dance floor.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Prom goers flee in horror. But you just wouldn't believe it, would you? If you're at a prom and a severed head goes flying in, you'd just be like,
"Ha Lou, that Joker."
Oh, yeah.
I heard Mr. Sykes put him up to it. Joker.
And then like the final brawl on is it just pretty much on the dance floor, isn't it? Between Nick, Kim, and the killer.
Yeah, which is anticlimactic at best, because it's not a big bloodbath like you're kind of hoping for or you imagine it would be. And that, you know, the film that has so many allusions to Carrie's and has such a similar vibe, and Carrie's has such a bloodbath. Yeah, I don't know. I think psychologically I was building up to, you know, there's going to be carnage on prom night. Like, you won't be coming home. But like it just didn't fell flat. Yeah, it completely falls flat.
It just falls off a cliff. Like, there's no, I feel like, at least I'm, you know what I mean? It's not really my thing to say that I prefer a remake, but there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. Whereas like the original is just like, and that's it. And you don't get anything. There's no closure. There's no. At least you get like a fucking original story. You get like the backstory and the history, but then that's it. And then you have like the other one that's like, you know what I mean?
There's a moment where Kim and the killer like stare at each other, and I think we're supposed to believe in that moment that she realizes who the killer is. And it even, but I don't know if I entirely felt it. I don't know. I wasn't entirely sold.
No, it completely falls flat.
Yeah, and his character, I feel like, was so forgettable that when they revealed him, I was like, oh, like, do you know what I mean? Like, if they had maybe put him in more scenes, or that, you know.
Yeah, but see, I think they wanted you to not notice him so that you wouldn't even consider it, do you know? But when you think about it, there's actually a bit of foreshadowing here when the scene where Lou attacks Kim and Alex, the little dweeby guy, gets like quite violent and kind of reacts, and the whole idea of protecting his sister would cause him to act in a violent manner. And then later when he's hauled into the principal's office and he says that, you know, he's like, did you start this? And he says, I was protecting Kim, as in like my sister. Like, there was this whole thing about protecting his sister. So it kind of does plant a little kind of thing there in terms of motivation and personality, and that is maybe it is how he would react. But I think you were kind of not meant to notice him. Shout out, by the way, to the brilliant misogynistic script writers as well, because in that scene the principal is like, you know, he's like, I'm gonna go easy on this kid because he's my son, and not because you're the kid who assaulted my daughter. Like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, no, like, to be
fair though, he does say something, and then the guy's like, it was Kim, and then he's like, and then he lets him go.
No, but he's still like, you think I'm going to go easy on him because he's my son? Well, you're right. And it's like, no, it's like, you shouldn't go easy on him because he saved your daughter from getting assaulted.
Yeah, like, literally me as a parent, like.
Oh my
God. I think we can all agree that they're both very fucking different, and they're both told extremely differently for the fact that it's a remake. I mean,
is it a remake?
I don't think it's a remake. I think it's a reimagining, I would say.
It's not, the characters aren't even the same. It's not even the same character names.
It could have been called anything else. It could
legit.
you know, it could have just had a prom themed name, and it never had to be kind of tied. I'd say it was only tied to it in the name, and I would say they had to pay a certain amount.
Yeah, because I think
to use it. That's it.
This final scene felt kind of pointless in the remake, where obviously Fenton escapes dressed as a bellboy. Idris Elba,
master of disguise.
He doesn't even have a hat on. And Idris,
and it fits perfectly.
He goes, "Oh yeah, I saw that bellboy walk out. It looks exactly like the man I'm looking for."
Interesting.
And then it all obviously goes back to Donna's house, where she just goes to bed, has another bad dream, and then Bobby just gets her boyfriend Bobby gets killed in his sleep.
Yeah, totally dispatched.
Just
like her dad did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then obviously there's a little bit of a fake out here where Donna like gets in the cupboard, gets in the closet, and then you think the killer's coming upstairs, but it turns out to be Detective Wynn.
Mm-hmm.
And then Fenton arrives behind her and then grabs her and tries to stop her from screaming. You'd hear what all the kerfuffle going on. Yeah, so there's like a violent struggle. Fenton like goes to stab Donna, which is like, if I can't have you, then you're dead. What kind of life is he expecting to live after this? He's like, I've killed about 15 people and I murdered the person I was in love with.
Yeah,
like,
no.
No.
It's like, it seems like that would be the last thing he would do. Yes. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. It reminds me. So did you both see Halloween Ends?
Yes.
I haven't. Is it good?
Yeah, but I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's a moment in this where somebody essentially says a very similar thing where they're like, if I can't have this person, then, and then this person kills themselves, as if like, I thought the rule was if I can't have them, no one can. But then you've killed yourself. So you've taken yourself out of the equation.
If I can't have them, well, I guess that's fine then.
Well, I guess that's agreeable for everybody else.
Their boundaries.
The world would be a much better place if that was how people handle that. I was actually getting very concerned that in this final scene that it was going to turn out to be a dream, like a premonition of what her prom night was going to be like, and that none of it will have happened. There was so much dream faking outing in this film.
Then they would have gone, do you remember that Fenton bloke? Yeah, he's just hung himself in his cell. Oh, great, I'm off to the prom. But yeah, it ends with, as he's about to stab Donna, Detective Wynn returns, shoots him in the chest. Ooh, jeez, he don't go down easily, does he?
Win for the win.
No. As a few pops in the chest.
He's like, it takes a good 4 or 5 shots for him to go down, and as he's falling down directly onto her, it's like, even in my last moments, I want to be close to Donna. I want to die on you.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite thing, when he's like falling and she's like, oh yeah, she like
rolls
does a slow motion roll. That's so fucking funny to me. And when he gets shot and he's like falling and he has the knife in his hand and she's underneath him.
Yeah. And
he's like falling dead and she's kind of like, and then like rolls out of the way. That's so dramatic and unnecessary, and I love it.
Definitely. And then
it's the best.
Come back. It's over. It's finally over. He's definitely dead. He's not going to haunt her dreams for the rest of her life. All her friends are dead, and her family, and but she'll be all right. So that's how that one ends. The original just ends with obviously
slow pan out.
So he does die.
Kim holding him.
So Kim holding Alex, he does die in her arms. It says here.
Yeah.
It says she weeps for her late brother. She killed him.
Yeah, she did. So now who's she going to kill on her rampage? Herself. If I can't have you, okay.
Didn't the cops shoot him though? I don't think she shot him.
She hit him with an axe.
Oh, we're talking about the original. Okay. Sorry, the original.
Yeah.
So that is it. That's both the prom nights.
Thank God. That's
but then she fucking, if she bopped him with an axe and then it was like, don't shoot him, and like running out, and he's like, you killed her.
No, he just died from his wounds.
He's gonna die from his fucking axe wound, Kim. You fucking scientist. Like, do you know what I mean?
You what?
I don't know. I it just made me so angry. The entire movie made me so angry because I'm just like, it's such a straight. All right, okay. We've all watched horror movies.
Strap yourself in. We're there. Here we go.
We're at this point now in my wine journey.
Oh no.
But you know what I mean? Like, we're all at the point where like, when horror movies like start to just not fucking make sense.
Oh, here we
Do you know
go.
what I mean?
At the sense thing. We've already had this.
No, I mean, how is she not just like, how has nobody just fucking clocked him yet? Do you know what I mean?
The hat.
Like
the hat.
He's dead. They're both dead.
My heart, like, the hardest thing I have to believe about horror movies is just like, how has no one just kicked the shit out of this kid yet? You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that he could take
puts
on.
The balaclava on. He's got like. Well, that's the thing. We're not even supposed to think that this killer's like got super strength or can like.
No.
Sometimes with killers, like, can they teleport? What's going on? No. He's just a.
But he couldn't, like, that kid, right? If you go back on this fucking kid who played this, like, do you know what I mean? The guy who played this kid, and you have like the little chunky guy, Seymour Butts or whatever the fuck he was called. And he's like able to kick him out of the van, and then he's able to get up and no. Again, if you look at this little kid, there's no way he's able to do that.
Is that what kind of the Scream franchise is kind of made popular there? Because obviously the killers.
No, Matthew Lillard can do anything he sets his mind to.
Well, Matthew Lillard, I think he's
except look afraid.
He's the killer in. He's the killer in Scream. Who's
you hit me with the phone.
He's always getting his ass kicked. He's always getting his ass kicked. He gets a fridge slammed in his face. So
TV,
you know when you see,
TV.
you know when you see, yeah, you know when you see the breakdowns of like who killed who in the Scream movies, like who was the killer. Matthew Lillard's definitely always the one getting his ass kicked.
He's tripping over all the stuff. Yeah,
he's
him and Skeet Ulrich like were just incredible in that movie. Absolutely fucking incredible.
Oh yeah,
like just the way they went on together, and like it's just sorry, there's 100%. No other killers in any movie that I like more.
Like, it's believable enough for a killer to be like a bit clumsy and a bit like useless.
That's what I like. Yeah. I love that whole thing of like when you see them like just fall over or just they're not graceful. Where you have like Michael Myers who just seems to glide, even though like he's a human being. When you have someone who fucks up and who can't. Do you mean like? When you watch it back and then you find out that it's either Billy or Stu, you can totally fucking picture them because they're like fuck, and they're so clumsy and weird about it.
Teenage boys.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Their
just
muscle tone hasn't even developed yet. Completely.
Just stupid kids, and you're like, and like the whole head tilts, and you know what I mean? Like they're just being fucking idiots.
I love the Scream head tilts. The Scream head tilts. So I do the Scream head tilts and stuff all the time.
Yeah, it's like, are you gonna kill me? Because I'm like the fucking first person, and they're like, yeah.
Okay, right. So
you know what I mean? It's the best.
The prom nights. We've got to move on to the next.
There's more.
There is more.
I say hopefully.
There's not much more. We're quietly winding down now. So this is the next section of the
quietly. Sorry.
His name game.
Never have us on again. This is every episode.
I'll have you on again, maybe in how long between the prom night and the remake? 20.
Can we talk about
years?
Scream?
Maybe
no.
Talk about Scream.
No, we're moving on to the game.
So the name game, I'll give you a.
Are you sure you want to open that bottle of wine, Dani, just before we continue?
I've already opened it like 20 minutes ago. It's fine.
Brilliant. Okay.
Finish it off.
Okay, name game.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a synopsis for a movie that sounds like Prom Night, but based on my clue, you have to work out what the movie is called. Okay. Now it'll be quite obvious after like, what's that? After you have to be quite obvious after one.
Dani, whatever microphone you're using is picking up like if you pick up a pen.
Speak of my thing. I'm sorry.
It's getting everything. It's so funny.
I told you it was a good mic. It's fine.
It's horrifying ASMR. Okay, so I'll give you one, and then you'll be able to work it out. So, the film's plot for this one follows a group of high school seniors who are targeted at their prom by a couple of masked killers who end up in a brawl with each other at the end. Mr. Cruz versus Mr. Hanks.
They end up in a brawl.
Yeah, Mr.
Like
Cruz
a fight.
versus Mr. Cruz versus Mr. Hanks.
Yes.
What could this movie be
Wait,
called?
the principals do, or the actual?
This movie is not Prom Night, but it sounds like Prom Night. Mr. Cruz fighting. Oh, I've ruined it now. Mr. Cruz brawling with Mr. Hanks.
What year? What year? Can we ask for
sounds, It's not a real film. It sounds like Prom
it's
Night.
not a real film.
Not a real film.
Okay. So do I have to?
It rhymes with Prom Night.
Yeah, no, it's something. Tom Fight.
Correct.
Oh yeah, okay, because Tom
Cruise.
Cruise.
Tom Hanks. Yeah. Okay, that's really good.
I'm a fucking idiot.
I get it now.
That's the thing.
I was going through like my knowledge of films. And I was like, I've never seen Tom Hanks and Tom Cruise in a movie.
It makes you feel any better. It's always the first one that everyone struggles with. So
that's great. I love that.
I understand the universe of the game now. Okay,
that's good. I'm glad to hear it. So this next film's plot follows a group of high school seniors, one of which asks somebody to the prom, who says no, but this person says, "Oh, I'm not going to go, but Mr. Cruz."
Tom might.
I'm not going to go with you, but Tom might. Sorry, it's too
What
Tom
is that? What? Is that a movie? Tom
no,
Might?
none of them are movies.
Okay, Dani's not with us. I thought Dani was on board,
I don't
but maybe not.
understand. Okay, all right.
No, I'm good at this.
This next film follows a group of high school seniors. No, it follows a group of people who are definitely of age to have sexual relations involved in a master-slave scenario. However, the one who's the master isn't very good at it.
Oh, Dom Light.
Nearly. He's not very good. Awful at it.
Dom Shite.
Okay. Correct.
Dom Light also kind of works like Diet Dom. You know?
Dom Light works as well. We'll add that one on. That one on today. I used to do 5. I've only got 4. So
I can't believe it's not Dom.
This makes no sense to me. I don't know what's happening.
Okay. And the last one, the film's plot follows a group of high school seniors whose prom is ruined by somebody chundering all over the dance floor, which clears everybody out.
Chundering.
Throwing up.
Vom Fright,
correct.
Yes.
I have no idea you're getting any of this.
I am so good because I have a brain and I didn't fill my brain with alcohol during the course of this episode.
Oh.
That's all I've got.
Then you're going to have to come on and talk about Chernobyl with us, and I'll just put all of the questions in your favor. That's fine.
Thank you. Please do that. Now, that's usually my co-host Andy's part of the show. I usually struggle with doing the clues, so thank you.
You did great.
Participation.
I thought you did a great job.
You say he did great because you got all of them right. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay, so now what we need to do is rate the movie. We'll rate the movies. A to F. Minuses and pluses are allowed. Where are you going to fall with Prom Night 1980 and Prom Night 2008?
Okay. I would give 1980. It's absolutely shite. Okay, Prom shite to play your little silly game. So it's really, really bad. However, what does save it for me is the choreographed dance scene. People don't do it enough anymore. People don't do enough in film anymore. I want to see that back in. And strangely enough, as I told you, when I wrote my parody of the 2008 film after I'd seen it, my 2008 film had a choreographed dance and song number, so I was clearly picking up on something.
This needs to get made.
Absolutely. It never will. Prom Night 3.
What?
Dani, did a ghost just flush a toilet in your house?
my earphone just fell out. I was like,
this is some serious ASMR going on.
Your hair sounds like the seaside during a
storm. I'm sorry. It's back now. It's fine.
Okay, long story short, I give Prom Night a D-. It just 1980 D-. It just scrapes a pass for me because of the choreographed dance routine.
Okay.
So without the routine?
Yeah.
What would it have been?
Without just a full-on F. Just full on F, but it just scraped a pass. I decided to be a generous marker on the exam. You know, it was like a bit I liked, and you know, he sounded kind of he sounded kind of hot, so I bumped it up a little bit.
Do you prefer 2008? Do you prefer it? Would you say?
No, I absolutely do not, because that famously lacked a choreographed dancer. But there's a lot of dancing, but it was awful white people dancing. If I was one of the black students at that school, I would not have gone to the prom. I would have left, because I would have known that that's what I was in for. I would have just spent all night in the corner making fun of all the terrible, unchoreographed and uncoordinated white people. So no, it gets an absolute. Is there an F-? Is that a thing? I don't think it is.
I think it's just like no comment.
It actually gets what, I don't know if you have them in the UK, but in Ireland we have a thing called an NG, which stands for no grade.
Oh yeah.
Which basically means that if you can do worse than an F,
NG.
you get an NG and no grade.
That's probably the lowest rating ever on this show.
No, look, let's get real. What was there to like?
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah, and just Dani? Considering the era it came from, there was a lot of really great bad slasher movies at the time, like Story Row. You know, all of those the House of Wax a bit earlier. All those, there's a really good time for like bad horror, and some of them are so bad that they're good. But this one just absolutely not.
Yeah, I'm now.
Yeah.
Dani, how would you rate both of these films?
The original, I have to say, I would say D-. I wouldn't give it an F.
Oh, where'd you get that idea from?
Fuck off. Just because
just it together.
I don't know. I like there's parts of it that I'm kind of like, oh, it's a bit fucking creepy. Like kids in general creep me the fuck out. So it's like the idea that they're playing this game at the start and they're like, kill, die, or whatever the fuck they were saying, and I'm like, that could fucking happen. Like you could have a kid and the kid could fucking have another kid kill itself. What's the fuck? You know what I mean? You can have. Yeah, you can have that thing. It's like, oh, we were just playing a game. Like if you take, like, say, Slender Man, for example, and they're like, you have those two little girls that actually had their best friend killed because they thought that Slender Man wanted it. Do you know what I mean? Like that was an actual thing. So I'm like, yeah, no, kids are fucking awful. So I would give this one like a D-, I would say. Because it's so much scarier than just this guy wants to fuck me and he'll kill my whole family if I don't fuck him. Because it's so common in today's world that you're just like, life horror. Yeah, so you know what I mean?
Would you rate the remake lower than D-?
Yeah, F. Yeah. The only reason that I'm rating the original as a D- is because I enjoyed watching it a lot more, and I actually had to guess who the killer was, because I didn't even think, like, I mean, I know, like, I didn't think it was going to be the brother, but with the other one, I'm just kind of like, no, she's just literally like, this fucking older guy fancies her, tries to kill people. It's just entitled white straight nonce man. Yeah, exactly. And like, there's no mystery to that. Though. He is hot, but like, do you know what I mean? I just feel like, the original was still terrible, but the whole plot and the whole everything was a lot better than the remake.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I guess I'm gonna go fairly similar. I was thinking just like a straight D for the original. Maybe like
favorite.
A straight D. It's incredibly straight, this D.
Long, straight, hard D.
Maybe like, I'm just thinking about how I've ranked it against like other films from this sort of era. Maybe like a D. Right, okay, so let's go for a D+ for the original. Just because it's got Jamie Lee Curtis in it. It's a little bit more interesting than the remake, which I think is just a straight up thriller, essentially, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let's go for a D- for the remake. Just I'm not going to rate it super low because I think I've watched films for this podcast which I find completely unwatchable, and despite the fact that despite the fact that everyone's an idiot and it's not a horror film at all, I still watched and was engaged by it. But
yeah,
I completely agree that both of the films are pretty shit. So, but still.
Can I just say as well, like, side note for the movie, doesn't Brittany Snow have very beefy arms that I feel like she'd be able to, like,
it's the dress.
Actually...
That's why the shawl was so important to her.
That's what I mean. She's hiding her beefy arms, but I feel like she'd be able to properly fucking take on anyone who came at her because the arms, she's stocky. Like, you know, Brody Dahl from the Distillers, like, she had quite beefy, thick arms that, you know, yeah, she's hot and she's gorgeous, but she'd fucking kill you. Like, that's how I feel about Brittany Snow.
If I feel physically threatened by a woman, I feel like I find her more attractive.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. She's just like fucking, she's just built, like, and then she has that shawl around her, and you're like, well, that just, like, it cuts off at the exact right point.
Out of it.
You know what I mean? Where I can see her fucking shoulders, and she's like, she hulking all over the place. And it's like, Brit, yeah, no, I get it. I know she'd fucking batter you. But that's the thing. Or like, you know what I mean? Where Jamie Lee Curtis was just like, I'm just 47 years old.
She's also 8 foot. She's 8 foot tall. So like, sorry, can we talk about that? It takes a lot of strength to wield a fucking axe, and there's no fucking bother. She fucking practically lifted the killer off Nick with one arm at one point and threw him across the room. Jamie's a bit of a beast herself.
Oh, but she's this fucking queen. Like, she can do anything, and I would never question it. Yeah. Like, literally, oh my god. She liked one of our posts when we had our original account that we can't log into anymore.
Oh my god, that's cool. Maybe she like one on a new account.
Not when she hears what we said about her hair.
Oh yeah, that was
I think she'll get it though. She seems the type that she'd be like,
she knows what she does.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like her in Scream Queens, not our podcast, but the show. Legend. I feel like that's how she is in real life, except for the Kuru. But I feel like, other than that, that's who she is. So have you watched Scream Queens, Ben?
No, I've not seen.
It's so good. It's on Disney. If you haven't seen it, it's got Emma Roberts, obviously Jamie Lee. It's very good.
I've heard quite a lot.
I think you'll like it.
Okay, I'll check it out. So where can our listeners keep up to speed with you both and your podcast and the new episode of Scream Queens, which will be out next week?
On behalf of Dani, I would like to thank you for having us on today. Where you can catch up with us is kind of an interesting one because we've been on hiatus for so long. We haven't really been managing our Instagram accounts, but we do have an Instagram account. It's at Scream Queens Podcasting. It's not just the other Scream Queens podcast because they're already there. Dani is telling me that there's an S at the end of the Scream Queens account. Apparently she started a new one. So if you look at us on either Scream Queens Podcasting or Scream Queens Podcastings, but the best way to really keep up with us is to follow our podcast wherever it is that you listen to your podcast, because really that's what we do. We're not overly active on Instagram, I have to say, and Dani has clearly set up a new account, so she'll be active on it for about 2 weeks and then she'll probably delete it. So it is best that if you are interested that you just listen to the podcast.
Yeah, I'll put the link to that in the show notes. Please listen if you like nuns, or what was the other thing?
Butter churning.
Butter churning.
Specifically, it has to be freshly churned.
Okay, so well, thanks very much to everyone for listening. If you enjoyed the show, become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout. Thanks to our current patrons, including John Crinnan, Ben Scaife, Stephen Christopher, Toby Miller, Lane Spencer, Ollie Child, Leslie Carlo, Julia Bilgren, Nick Spill, Troy Birch, and Pazuzu. Oh, and Rosalind Harnies as well. Thanks to Taj Easton for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Please consider giving us a rating or review. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And next week, we'll be talking all about Possession with returning Luke Condor. But thank you very much for joining us, Dani and Conor.
No, thank you for having us. It's been so much fun. Thank you. Really mean that.
Dani's gone mute for some reason.
This is so good. No, this is the best. Please help me.
Hopefully she hasn't been got by a mass killer with a a shard.
You know, too bad.
Yeah, it happens, doesn't it? Maybe she's gone upstairs to get her shawl.
Well, there is a mysterious man walking around her house in the dark because I've seen him come into frame a couple of times, and it's been a bit worrying. So, Skinnamarink.
Skinnamarink. She's been Skinnamarink.
Ah.
Okay, see you later. Until
Bye.
next time. Thanks again. Bye.